Chapter 694. Nature is like this, the food chain is a complete existence. After so many years in the back mountain, the food chain has long been formed. Now that the two kings have been captured, the food chain that has been formed for many years in the back mountain may collapse. Bai Jia was also a bit surprised. Since Li Fan has the power to subdue bears and tigers, why did he send people to send them back? Could it be that this evil spirit in human skin has a benevolent heart? Bai Jia found it hard to believe. She was waiting to personally kill this evil spirit and save Lin Yuhsin from the fire and water. Night has fallen. After sending the two huge cute pets, Lu Zhu returned to the tent. Lin Yuhsin and the others were sitting in the tent, discussing how to sleep at night. There were a total of 4 people, 2 men and 2 women. This position is indeed a bit difficult to arrange. How about this, Lu Zhu will sleep outside, Murong and I will each sleep on one side. Lin Yuhsin made a suggestion. Lu Zhu immediately had black lines on her forehead. Why do I have to sleep outside? Because you are a man. Isn't Li Fan also a man? Lu Zhu felt that she was about to collapse. Li Fan is different. Anyway, I don't mind sleeping with Li Fan. Lin Yuhsin expressed her position. I don't mind either. Murong immediately followed up. Lu Zhu's nose almost became crooked from anger. How can we let Lu Zhu sleep outside? Li Fan rejected this proposal. Lu Zhu will sleep outside, I will sleep next to Murong, Lin Yuhsin will sleep in the innermost. Why? Murong was overjoyed, but Lin Yuhsin was not happy. How can this be? How can Murong be next to Li Fan? After all, we are sleeping in the wild, the innermost is safer. Moreover, Xiao Ai is my sister-in-law, we are more familiar with each other, nothing will happen. Is that so? Lin Yuhsin expressed strong doubts. Of course. You have to believe me. Li Fan emphasized, be good, or we won't be able to sleep tonight. Alright. Lin Yuhsin could only put up with it and reluctantly agreed. Lu Zhu, who was sitting at the side, seemed to be blushing. Li Fan was speechless. Why was this man blushing? Could it be the heat? Unfortunately, there were no air conditioners or electric fans in the wilderness. Do you think there will be any wild beasts at night? Lin Yuhsin suddenly asked as she lay down. So be it. What are you afraid of? Murong said indifferently, there are so many experts here. Even if a wild beast came, it would just be a cute little pet. You're right, I was overthinking. Lin Yuhsin lay on the camping pillow. She was a little tired after a busy day and soon fell asleep. Lu Zhu, who was lying on the outermost side, was a little restless and found it hard to fall asleep. But this restlessness quickly dissipated as time went by. The smell from Li Fan's body made Lu Zhu feel comfortable and soon fell asleep. Only Li Fan and Murong were still awake. This little girl was very mischievous. She secretly put her hand into Li Fan's sleeping bag and grabbed a ball of fire. Li Fan's body slightly trembled and then looked at Murong with a headache. Murong winked at Li Fan and began to play some tricks with her hand. Li Fan restrained his body and tried not to let his body shake too violently. This little girl dared to test him in front of his 2 classmates. This was really unbearable. But now was not the time to act up. He needed a good opportunity. Yes, one must be patient. He couldn't immediately retaliate when he was hurt. He must wait for the best opportunity. Li Fan felt that his way of thinking was right. This was the thinking of a real expert. Murong seemed to feel that her teasing was not enough. She gently licked her lips at Li Fan. If the tent was not too small, this girl would have already gone to the bottom and started her entertainment. Li Fan was very helpless. He really couldn't do anything to this little girl. He had been spoiled by this girl. Brother-in-law, why don't we go to the wilderness? Murong said in Li Fan's ear. You, don't mess around. Li Fan symbolically refused. Okay, I'll listen to brother-in-law. Murong nodded and released Li Fan's vital part. She turned around and went to sleep. Li Fan regretted it. He wanted to slap himself. Damn, Li Fan, why are you acting cool? This time, she really went to sleep. How can I play anymore? Li Fan could only close his eyes and let out a long sigh. He originally planned to sleep for a while, but he heard the sound of a zither. This zither sound was melodious and sweet. It was pleasing to the eye and made people feel carefree. Li Fan felt that he followed the sound of the zither to a waterfall. The waterfall was like a white dragon. It fell from the sky and crashed into the pool below. However, a few ninjas suddenly flew out from the pool and rushed towards Li Fan. Li Fan suddenly woke up. He found himself still lying in the tent. Murong was sleeping in front of him. The little girl was sleeping soundly. Lu Zhu was also asleep. Li Fan gently pushed him twice, but he didn't wake up. Li Fan felt that something was strange. Even if Lu Zhu was sleeping soundly, he was a martial artist. It was impossible for him to not be aware of the things around him. For a martial artist, even if they were asleep, they would still be aware of the wind blowing and grass moving around them. This was a martial artist. A group of strange people. There's something wrong with the zither sound. Li Fan raised his head. He gently opened the tent and looked outside. The sound of the zither seemed to be beside his ears, but it also seemed to be far away. Li Fan gently turned over and went out of the tent. He followed the sound of the zither and slowly disappeared into the woods. A figure quietly followed behind Li Fan. This figure was none other than Bai Jie. Bai Jie carried a shotgun and silently went into the woods. Bai Jie originally wanted to take advantage of the night to hunt Li Fan. But she never thought that Li Fan would actually leave the tent. Bai Jie was somewhat puzzled, but she still followed, intending to see what was going on. Maybe there was a chance to kill Li Fan in one shot. Bai Jie decided to seize this opportunity. She followed Li Fan all the way through the small forest and came to an open space behind. She followed Li Fan all the way through the small woods and came to an open space at the back. Bai Jie stopped and squatted behind a big rock. She carefully looked at Li Fan. There was only a pile of big rocks on the ground, and not even a blade of grass grew there. There was only a pile of big rocks in the open space. Not even a blade of grass grew. Bai Jie's heart jumped wildly. She felt that she had to quickly make a move. Chapter 695. Bai Jie watched as Li Fan walked into the open space and stood on the edge of the cliff, looking at a woman above. This woman was wearing a dark green brocade robe, which was decorated with several small red flowers, like a bloodstain, dazzling the eyes. Her jet black hair hung over her shoulders like a black waterfall. Her development was not bad, and her chest was not small. When the waterfall reached her chest, it was out of shape, but it seemed to have another kind of seductive beauty. She was sitting cross-legged on the cliff, holding a zither in her arms. The zither was black in color and was made of good quality ebony wood. This zither was carved with the dragon Sun Qiu. This was a yellow dragon with a horn, which swam around the body of the zither, eager to soar into the sky. This woman holding the zither was none other than the most mysterious of the four great black guards of the genie guards, Buried Soul Melody. Cheng Mohan, it's so late. Did you call me here to have a one-night stand with me? Li Fan asked. Yes or no, aren't you the clearest in your heart? Cheng Mohan did not directly answer. Instead, she smiled and said with a hidden meaning. Miss Cheng Mohan, it's been a long time since you came to the secular world. Li Fan looked at Cheng Mohan and said with a smile, in the secular world, if it's not a one-night stand, what else can it be? Could it be that you want me to enjoy music? You're right. Cheng Mohan smiled, like a goddess under the moon, I asked you to come here to enjoy my zither. Mr. Li's martial arts are unparalleled, so you should have some attainments in music. No, I'm a layman, so let's talk about the one-night stand. Mr. Li is a real man. Cheng Mo-hun faintly said, this beautiful scenery under the moon is refreshing. If I do it with Mr. Li, I won't waste this beautiful scenery. However, Mo-hun still has an unfulfilled wish, so I'm afraid I'm not in the mood to enjoy the pleasure of sex. Oh, what is it? Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed and asked in a loud voice. To take your life. As Cheng Mo-hun spoke, her fingers suddenly plucked the strings of the zither, producing the sound of horses galloping. Her sound waves mixed with the small phaseless divine technique, forming the appearance of three generals. They grabbed swords and sabers and descended from the sky, attacking Li Fan. Without any hesitation, Li Fan leaped and instantly retreated more than 10 meters away from the attack range of the sound wave. The three generals slashed into the ground, leaving more than 10 deep ravines in the ground. It was as if a giant beast had scratched the ground with its claws. Li Fan frowned slightly. This Cheng Mo-hun was indeed one of the 4 black guards and the former white token of Yen Luo Dian. Her killing methods were indeed formidable. She had mixed the sound wave with her innate qi. This kind of special attack method could not be defended with just innate qi alone. If she wanted to kill someone, she could probably use the sound of the zither to create an army of thousands of men and horses, killing them without a trace. Through this kind of special music, coupled with innate qi, she could actually create the effect of turning nothingness into reality. It was really impressive. As if to prove Li Fan's admiration, Cheng Mo-hun continued to pluck the zither, producing the sound of swords and sabers. The generals brandished their weapons in groups of 3 to 5 and once again flew towards Li Fan, as if they were divine soldiers descending from the heavens. Li Fan used his qinggong and continuously dodged. He dodged 2 generals and suddenly stuck close to the cliff. His feet stepped on the wind and he ran up the cliff. Li Fan wanted to directly attack Cheng Mo-hun. But Cheng Mo-hun seemed to have already predicted Li Fan's intentions. She was not flustered and her 10 fingers were like butterflies, continuously plucking the zither. In an instant, dozens of generals uniformly appeared on the cliff. They stuck close to the cliff and hung upside down. They were like a commando team that did not fear death as they pounced towards Li Fan. Li Fan suddenly stopped in his tracks. With one foot planted on the ridge, he flipped his body and kicked out. Wave moon kick. Like a new moon rising, Li Fan's kick instantly swept through the sound wave generals on the ridge. But at the same time, he also lost the momentum to continue climbing up. Li Fan grabbed the rock with both hands and used his arm's strength to quickly climb up like a gecko. In the blink of an eye, Li Fan climbed to the top of the cliff. Looking at Cheng Mo-hun who was sitting cross-legged there, he struck her with his palm. But Cheng Mo-hun still did not panic. She gave Li Fan a smile and then plucked the zither. The sound wave formed a shock wave that struck Li Fan's body. Li Fan's Ursa Major seal had already struck out. At the same time, his body was struck by the sound wave. Many tears appeared on his clothes and he was sent flying. His body was sent flying 3 to 4 meters away and fell towards the empty space below the cliff. Li Fan somersaulted in the air and finally landed steadily on the ground. A height of tens of meters was not difficult for him now. As long as he wrapped his body with his true qi, his body would be as light as a feather. But Li Fan's palm strike had shattered Cheng Mo-hun's zither. She sat on the cliff with some hidden bitterness. This zither has 100 years of history. I didn't expect it to be destroyed by Mr. Li's palm. Since it's an antique, it should be kept as a treasure. Now that it's taken out to kill someone, it's tainted with a vicious aura. It's not a pity to destroy it. Li Fan tugged at his sportswear. But my new clothes have been ruined by you. How are you going to compensate me? I didn't expect that the dignified chief escort of Phenomenal Escort Agency is actually a scoundrel. Cheng Mo-hun sighed. Ha, I have many characteristics. You should interact more with me. Actually, we can have a deeper conversation and use my strengths to test your limits. Li Fan deliberately provoked Ching Mohan. He wanted to test how shrewd this Ching Mohan was. Mr. Li is right. But let me help you deal with the peeping mouse first. Ching Mohan said as she pulled the broken zither string and plucked it again. The sound wave formed into a few swords and swept towards the forest below. The row of trees were immediately swept down, and a boulder was also swept in half. A figure stood there in a daze. She had a delicate appearance and a slim figure. She wore sportswear with the logo of No. 1 Middle School and held a shotgun in her hand. Li Fan frowned. Isn't this Lin Yuhsin's nemesis, Bai Jie? When did she follow me? How come I didn't notice? It seems that I was so focused on Cheng Mohan's music that I forgot to notice the surrounding aura. It was a mistake. Cheng Mohan plucked the zither again, and a few swords flew towards Bai Jie. Bai Jie was scared silly. She stood there holding the shotgun, completely at a loss of what to do. But at this time, a man blocked in front of her. He looked at Bai Jie and used his back to block the swords. Chapter 696. Bai Jie looked at Li Fan. Looking at this devil in human form, she was somewhat stunned. She really didn't know why he came to save her. Why did you save me? Bai Jie asked. It's just a matter of convenience. Don't worry about it. As Li Fan spoke, he suddenly frowned, hugged Bai Jie, and jumped out. Swish! 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 More blade marks were left on the ground. Li Fan's back was also injured. Although he used his true energy to protect his back in time, the sound waves still hurt his flesh. Bai Jie couldn't see that Li Fan's back was already a mess of flesh and blood. But being held in Li Fan's arms, her heart was filled with shock and fear. This devil, what is he going to do to me? Mr. Li, it's just a little mouse. Why are you worrying about it? Cheng Mohan's voice seemed to be right beside Li Fan's ear. You genie guards are all the same. Li Fan carried Bai Jie and jumped onto a towering tree. Stepping on the branches, he swayed slightly. This way, Li Fan and Cheng Mohan looked at each other from a distance. They were at the same height. You talk about upholding justice, but what you do in private is a shady business that disregards human life. Li Fan hugged Bai Jie and coldly said to Cheng Mohan. That's not what I said. Cheng Mohan retorted to Li Fan, we don't interfere with ordinary people's society, but we can't ignore our differences. Those in your arms are nothing more than ants. We, the genie guards, only ensure that the world of ants is not destroyed. But ants are ants. How can they be compared to you and me? She pointed at Li Fan. For example, you are a rare expert in the world. Even if it was me, it would be difficult for me to injure you. Instead, you destroyed my zither. And because of this ant girl, I injured your back. Don't you think this is ridiculous? Cheng Mohan, do you know who dies the fastest in this world? Please advise. Pretentious person. Is that so? I don't think so. As Cheng Mohan spoke, she took the other half of the zither, pulled the strings, and plucked it hard. This half of the zither was not enough to create soldiers, it could only create sabers and swords. However, now that Li Fan was carrying Bai Jie, it was difficult for him to deal with these sound waves. Several swords and sabers pierced through the air, stabbing towards Li Fan. Bai Jie was a little flustered. What should I do now? This time, the demon won't protect me, right? However, the great god of war appeared behind Li Fan. The silver-white great war god was like a divine general in the sky. It attacked in place of Li Fan. The great war god waved his crane hand in an attempt to slap away the blades. However, this was not pure vital energy. It was mixed with sound waves. The great war god's crane hand was unable to completely destroy these attacks. Bang, bang, bang. Every time the great war god's crane hands slapped onto the swords would immediately explode, and the sound waves would surge out. Li Fan hugged Bai Jia and used his body to protect her. "It's too ugly, Mr. Li," Ching Mohan shook her head. "As long as you let go of that burden, you will be free." As Ching Mohan spoke, she extended her hand, and a pipa suddenly flew out from the forest and landed in her hand. Ching Mohan played the pipa, and the sound of the golden spears and armored horses rang out again. The forest shook slightly, as though there was a wind blowing. Li Fan seemed to have arrived at an ancient battlefield, and there were enemy troops everywhere. Countless enemies seemed to have walked out from the darkness, bringing with them a vicious and terrifying aura, and surrounded Li Fan and Bai Jie. This was Ching Mohan's power, rhythm, and strength. Li Fan gathered his vital energy in his eyes and looked at the vital energy emitted from Ching Mohan's body. Her vital energy was pulsating along with the rhythm of the rhythm. Ching Mohan played the gambush from 10 sides, and hundreds of soldiers appeared. They walked out from the sound of the zither and rode their war horses. They crossed the void and charged towards Li Fan. 10 direction kill, 1,000 army charge. Ching Mohan unleashed her strongest attack. It was like a formation of thousands of soldiers and horses, as though they would drown Li Fan in the next second. Humph. Li Fan suddenly snorted, and the great war god behind him suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light. 7 brilliance absolute kill, 10 direction great wisdom king. The great war god behind Li Fan suddenly erupted, and its body leaned to the side, and directly struck out with its palm. Rumble. This time, Li Fan urged all of his strength and turned it into a palm strike. The thousands of soldiers and horses released by Ching Mohan were directly smashed by the power released by the great war god. Moreover, the vital energy continued to wreak havoc. The earth trembled. Ching Mohan's eyes widened. She suddenly gave up on attacking, and with a flick of her feet, she began to flee. When the palm wind dispersed, a huge palm print could be seen on the opposite mountain ridge. This palm print was half a meter deep, and it was shocking, as if it was the work of the gods. Ching Mohan stood on the cliff. She was in a sorry state. Her clothes were torn and tattered, and her zither was broken. She couldn't even stand steadily. Li Fan saw that the vital energy on her body was very weak, as if it was used to defend against Li Fan's attack. Puff, Ching Mohan vomited a mouthful of blood and looked at Li Fan bitterly. "You are indeed a dragon among men, but your weakness is too obvious. What, do you want to break the contract?" "Of course not, this kind of you is worthy for me to challenge." Ching Mohan said, "After causing such a big commotion, I guess they have already woken up." "Mr. Li, the moonlight is already gone, I will not accompany you any longer. The days are still long, let's meet again another day. As an apology for my absence, I have given you a big gift, enjoy it slowly." With that, Ching Mohan's body flashed, and using her qinggong, she quickly left the cliff. Li Fan looked at Bai Jia in his arms and asked, "Go back." Bai Jia looked at Li Fan in shock. Who are you?" "I'm just a passerby," Li Fan said as he lightly jumped down from the tree and fell into the forest. "How can there be such a passerby?" Are you a devil?" Bai Jia still had some lingering fear. "I am a human, a living human." Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. "How can a human have such powerful strength?" "Well, I am indeed a bit stronger than ordinary people." Li Fan said, "This is Kung Fu." "Kung Fu? Don't lie to me, I have learned karate." Bai Jia still didn't believe it, Kung Fu can't reach this level. "That's external force, naturally not." Li Fan said, "We practice internal force, using internal force to strengthen our body and strength." With that, Li Fan slapped the stone wall next to him, leaving a palm print on the stone wall. Internal force erupts, palm like an iron seal. Chapter 697. Is it really that powerful? Bai Jia still couldn't believe it. "Of course, haven't you read wuxia novels before?" Aren't those fictitious? That's not necessarily true. Li Fan chuckled and said, it's just like a science fiction novel. When a lot of science fiction novels were first published, people didn't believe it. But after a long time, the things written in the book were invented, weren't they? That's a science fiction novel. It's different from a wuxia novel. The principle is the same. Even if it's a novel, it might be true. In this world, everything is possible. That means, it's also possible to be a devil. Li Fan was stunned by Bai Jie's question. This girl seems to be very difficult to deal with. Wuxia world really exists. Of course, I'm an independent person who practices the 7-hero fist. There are also many experts who have their own sections. For example, Wudang, Huashan, Shaolin, etc. This is too much information. I can't accept it. Bai Jie felt her head was a bit big. Li Fan smiled and didn't say anything. Well, just remember that we're not devils, we're humans. Let's go, I'll bring you back. They've probably been awakened. Just now, Li Fan's 7 brilliance fist had shaken the earth. It's impossible for those students not to wake up. The martial art that Li Fan practices is incomparably domineering. Each move is earth-shattering and not suitable for assassination. All right. Bai Jie said, put me down. It was indeed a little inappropriate to be hugged by Li Fan. Li Fan put down Bai Jie, and his hand accidentally touched her chest. It's soft, making Li Fan's heart beat faster. This woman has the same name as a novel, but she actually has the same temptation. Li Fan adjusted his mood, lest he thinks too much and goes astray. Li Fan stretched out his hand and pushed aside the bushes in front of him, ready to lead Bai Jie back to the camp. But Bai Jie suddenly hugged Li Fan from behind and moaned in Li Fan's ear. Li Fan was shocked, what's going on? He turned his head and saw Bai Jie's cheeks flushed, her eyes are full of lust, staring at me as if she wants to eat me. This girl, what's wrong with her? Li Fan was shocked. Bai Jie should hate him. How could she do such a thing? At this time, Bai Jie seemed to have transformed into an octopus. She hugged Li Fan tightly and wanted to rub her body into Li Fan's. Her legs hung on Li Fan's body, constantly rubbing, and the sound waves from her mouth also attacked, as if she wanted to melt Li Fan. Although Li Fan's heart is running wild, he is a martial arts expert after all. His heart is as steady as Mount Tai. Although this little temptation is tempting, Li Fan can still hold it. At a glance, he saw a silver needle on the back of Bai Jie's neck. This silver needle seems to carry some kind of special poison, which stimulated Bai Jie's desire. I want. Give me. Bai Jie gently bit Li Fan's ear. Li Fan endured the pleasure in his heart. He reached out and pulled out the silver needle. However, the poison is difficult to resolve in a short time. Bai Jie continued to stick to Li Fan, trying to do something indescribable with Li Fan. Li Fan maintained his original intention. He is still a baby. How can he casually have a relationship with someone? Bai Jie couldn't restrain herself anymore. Her hand reached into Li Fan's crotch. Her hand grabbed Li Fan's vital point, as if she wanted to use it immediately. However, Li Fan saw that although Bai Jie's face is full of lust, tears are flowing from her eyes. Li Fan frowned. He extended 2 fingers and pointed at Bai Jie's acupoint. Point crane. Bai Jie's body was sealed. She stood there motionless. Under the control of Li Fan's true qi, Bai Jie can't move. Qing Mohan is really ruthless. She actually played such a trick. Li Fan stretched out his hand and placed it on Bai Jie's chest. He was surprised to find that this girl isn't wearing any underwear. Sorry. Feeling the unique touch in his palm, Li Fan apologized. He must transfer true qi to Bai Jie's body to resolve her poison. When her sensitive place is touched, the lust in Bai Jie's eyes became stronger. Li Fan's true qi flowed through his palm and into Bai Jie's body. It passed through the heart and into all the blood vessels in the body. After the poison enters the body, it will enter the blood and stimulate the nerves. In traditional novels, after an expert is poisoned, he would force the poison out of the meridians, which is wrong. Meridians and blood circulation are two different systems. The poison enters the blood vessels. What Li Fan is doing now is to let his true qi enter the blood vessels and force the poison out. Ordinary people and martial artists are different. If it's Li Fan, his internal organs, including his blood vessels, have been tempered by true qi. They are very strong and tough. But Bai Jie is different. Her blood vessels are also fragile. If she is not careful, her blood will burst and she will die. Li Fan carefully controls his power and circulates it in Bai Jie's blood vessels, forcing the poison out of her body. Pfft! Bai Jie suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood on the tree beside her. The green leaves seemed to be a bit more flirtatious. Done. At the same time, Li Fan removed the true qi that was sealing Bai Jie's meridians. Bai Jie's body softened as she leaned into Li Fan's embrace. But when she exerted herself, she stood up again and hugged a tree beside her. You're all bastards. Although she was saved by Li Fan, Bai Jie doesn't seem to want to thank Li Fan. After all, she was taken advantage of by Li Fan. She even touched that thing. My God. Am I going to chop my hand off? Rest assured, no one will know about tonight's matter. Li Fan understood that if this matter were to spread out, it would indeed ruin a girl's reputation. Bai Jie, this girl, probably doesn't want to be a character in a novel even if she was beaten to death. I will not let you off. Bai Jie gritted her teeth and looked at Li Fan, wishing she could eat him. Alright, it's up to you. I'm going back. Li Fan turned around and walked away. You, wait for me. Bai Jie staggered forward and almost fell, but Li Fan caught her. Li Fan has no choice but to carry this girl in his arms and strode back to the camp. Cheng Mohan did not go far. She is still hiding in the distance, staring at Li Fan and the rest. TSK. We didn't even have a sex. She sighed. Sure enough, this man is hard to deal with. Chapter 698. The next morning, when Li Fan woke up, he realized that Murong was already hugging him like an octopus. This lass's sleeping posture is not elegant at all. Li Fan gently moved Murong's arm away, opened the tent, and walked outside. The air in the wilderness was very good, and the view was very bright, giving Li Fan a pleasant feeling. In this place, it was like returning to the peak of Mount Hua. Li Fan felt that all the cells in his body had come alive. The other students were still asleep, so Li Fan stretched his waist and started practicing the 7-gallant fist. A martial artist cannot slack off for even a day. Li Fan was the same. If he didn't practice external martial arts for a day, he would be out of practice. If he didn't practice for 3 days, his martial arts would decline by more than half. Li Fan didn't need to punch as if he was fighting. He slowed down his body and rhythm, imitating the postures of the 7 animals, turning himself into a beast and wandering in the forest. At this time, Li Fan's eyes flashed, as if he saw a ferocious tiger pouncing towards him. Li Fan subconsciously used beating the tiger. The figure in front of him came fast, and retreated fast as well. Like a kite with a broken string, it instantly floated 3 to 4 meters away and fell to the ground. Jin Kumo. Li Fan looked at the girl standing in front of him and couldn't help but be surprised. Why are you awake? Do you think you're the only one who can wake up early? Jin Kumo curled his lips. How was it? Did you feel good last night? What do you mean? You know what I mean. Jin Kumo rolled his eyes. Didn't you have a great battle last night? Did you forget? Li Fan was a little nervous. Could it be that Jin Kumo found out about the battle between reason and desire between him and Bai Jie last night? How's Cheng Mohan's martial arts? Is she very powerful? Jin Kyumo asked again. Only then did Li Fan heave a sigh of relief. Oh, you should ask Chin Mohun. Her strength is indeed not bad, and she is proficient in music. Li Fan said with lingering fear, if I hadn't used my ultimate move, I'm afraid I would have died under her murderous melody. This woman used to be from Yen Luo Dian. She is indeed powerful. After Jin Kyumo finished speaking, he stared fixedly at Li Fan. But you're the one who's more powerful if you can defeat her and come back unscathed, right? I was lucky. Li Fan's gaze was a little unnatural. He had a feeling that Jin Hisao was going to ask something he shouldn't. Your move just now didn't seem to be the Fist of the Seven Heroes, right? Jin Hisao was proficient in form and will fist. His eyes were like torches as he saw through Li Fan's moves. They all belonged to the Fist of Seven Heroes. Li Fan smiled, after all, I created this kung fu. It shouldn't be a problem to put it in this fist technique, right? Your Fist of the Seven Heroes, as the name suggests, is a fist technique formed by imitating 7 different animals. Jin Hisao was very familiar with them. From the earliest 5 animals' frolics, it was born from the tiger, bear, deer, ape, and crane. Later on, you added in the snake and the toad. These 7 fist techniques are known as the Seven Heroes. But your move just now obviously doesn't belong to any of the Fist of Seven Heroes. Not only is it domineering, but it also counters the Fist of Seven Heroes. Am I right? Li Fan took another look at Jin Hisao. This young lady isn't ordinary. Tell me, what's the name of your fist technique? Fist of the Seven Heroes, the advanced fist technique of the Fist of the Seven Heroes. Li Fan introduced. Do you want to learn it? I can teach you. Jin Hisao was stunned for a moment. You're willing to teach me? I'm willing, but you have to join my extraordinary escort agency. Li Fan narrowed his eyes. Pfft. Jin Hisao spat. I thought you were a chivalrous person. I didn't expect you to be so prejudiced. That's for sure. I can't pass the technique to anyone else. Li Fan smiled. I've painstakingly comprehended this technique. Why would I teach it to someone else? Not to mention the Fist of the Seven Heroes, my disciple hasn't even learned the Fist of the Seven Heroes. How can I teach it to someone else? Stingy. This isn't stingy. It's a way to ensure my sect's legacy. Li Fan continued to practice as he said, how many people in the pugilistic world know how to repay kindness? If I teach this technique to an outsider, they might come back to attack my extraordinary escort agency. How do you know that your disciple won't do that? If you want to join my sect, you must first pass my test. I won't accept someone with a bad character. Li Fan was full of confidence. Even Jin Hisao was slightly infatuated with his confidence. However, she quickly regained her senses and said, forget it if you don't want to teach me. I don't care about it. Jin Hisao said as she stood to the side, ignoring Li Fan, and began to practice Fist of the Form and Will Fist. Even Li Fan had to admit that Jin Jiuma's Xingyi Fist was executed very well and was very lifelike. Especially the Mantis Fist that Jin Hisao used last time, it was simply a godly skill. There were many things that Li Fan could learn from her Fist of the Form and Will Fist. Li Fan observed Jin Hisao as he practiced, trying to learn more from her. You're up so early. Liao Wushuang also came out of the tent in clean sportswear. Because she was a teacher, she could enjoy a tent by herself. The male teacher originally wanted to stay in the same tent as Liao Wushuang, but he gave up when he saw Liao Wushuang chopping down a big tree. Teacher Liao, please enlighten me. When Jin Hisao saw Liao Wushuang, she subconsciously felt that this woman belonged to their world. She immediately leaped forward and grabbed Liao Wushuang's throat with her tiger fist. However, when she grabbed the air, Liao Wushuang's body suddenly disappeared. What's going on? Jin Hisao was a little surprised. Where did she go? Liao Wushuang disappeared. And there was no aura at all. That was impossible. Even if she could hide her body, there was no way she could hide her aura. While Jin Hisao was puzzled, Liao Wushuang had already appeared behind her. Jin Hisao finally sensed Liao Wushuang. She turned around and slapped Liao Wushuang's body again. Jin Hisao felt a headache coming on. At the same time, Liao Wushuang appeared above Jin Jiuma's head and slapped down with her palm. Jin Hisao immediately stretched out her hands and formed the shape of a tiger, biting at Liao Wushuang. Liao Wushuang's body disappeared again, and it was still just an afterimage. Jin Hisao was about to explode. What kind of martial arts did this woman practice? Where did she go? Before Jin Hisao could figure it out, a palm was placed on her chest. Although Liao Wushuang did not attack, Jin Hisao was already unhappy. She lost, and it was a terrible loss. Liao Wushuang's strength should not be comparable to her, but she relied on her strange martial arts to defeat Jin Hisao. Damn it! Chapter 699. Alright, the two of you are tied. Li Fan tried to be the peacemaker to settle the matter. Unexpectedly, Jin Kyumo did not fall for it. Stop flattering me. Jin Hisao had a displeased look on his face. I clearly lost. No, you're just at a disadvantage because you've never seen Teacher Liao's martial arts. Li Fan comforted Jin Kyumo. In terms of strength and external martial arts, you have the advantage. Furthermore, although Teacher Liao's hand was on your chest, she might not be able to break through your internal martial arts. Why are there so many experts around you? Jin Kyumo was very unhappy. Personal charm, personal charm. Only a ghost would believe that. Jin Kyumo was 100% doubtful of Li Fan's words, which made Li Fan very unhappy. Hey. Are my words that untrustworthy? Li Fan rolled his eyes. That's right. You're an unscrupulous businessman, and you're also extremely cunning. Where's your personal charm coming from? Jin Kyumo's evaluation of Li Fan was quite low, but this girl did not mean what she said. In my heart, the person with the most personal charm is our alliance leader, Luo Xuewu. Jin Kyumo's eyes lit up when he mentioned Luo Xuewu. Only alliance leader Luo is a true heroine. Her personal charm conquers everything, and we're all willing to surround her. Then surround her. I'm not stopping you. Li Fan shrugged. Let's go our separate ways. You can go your own way, and my fief and escort agency will go our own way. Let's mind our own business. Isn't that good? That's not up to you. Jin Kyumo immediately said, It's your honor that alliance leader Luo has taken a liking to you. You really don't know how to talk, young lady. Liao Wushuang, who had been watching silently from the side for a long time, took a step forward and held on to Li Fan's arm. Liao Wushuang was tall and wore a pair of high heels. She was at least half a head taller than Jin Kyumo. She looked down at Jin Kumeo and said, Why don't you take a look at our Li Fan and see if he lacks women? TSK, our alliance master is different from you coquettish trash. Tsugumi emphasized. How so? Could it be that she's one of the 10 great masterpieces? What are you talking about? What are the 10 great masterpieces? Jin Hisao was stunned. He had no idea what Liao Wushuang was referring to. But Li Fan, who was an experienced driver, heard it clearly and couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Teacher Liao was truly erudite and multi-talented. He actually managed to stun Jin Hisao with his questions. Since it's not one of the 10 great masterpieces, why does it have to pretend to be the best in the world? Liao Wushuang usually had a mild temper, but she was a Scorpio. Once she wanted to take revenge or bully someone, this teacher Liao seemed to have transformed. Liao Wushuang's words rendered Jin Hisao speechless, and his whole body trembled. She glared at Liao Wushuang fiercely, as if she wanted to find something to refute her. But no matter how hard she racked her brains, she still couldn't find anything to say. Damn it, why is my mouth so stupid? Jin Hisao secretly pinched himself a few times, angry at himself for not living up to expectations. Hisao, the tiger form fist that you demonstrated just now can be improved. Li Fan changed the topic. He somewhat sympathized with Jin Hisao. If he continued to chat with Liao Wushuang like this, she would definitely collapse. What was Liao Wushuang's educational background? Jin Hisao was no match for teacher Liao in terms of eloquence. Where? Jin Hisao was also a martial arts fanatic. The moment he heard Li Fan's words, he immediately forgot about the previous topic and asked Li Fan. This place. Li Fan struck a tiger form fist pose. Your tiger form fist pursues too much rhythm, but you forgot the most important thing, and that is domineering. The momentum of the tiger form fist is greater than the rhythm. You must not put the cart before the horse. As Li Fan spoke, he entered the tiger form fist and clawed at Jin Hisao. That claw seemed to have crossed the distance of time and space as it landed on the top of Jin Hisao's head. Jin Hisao was stunned for a moment as she looked at the incoming palm. In that instant, dozens of ways to counter Li Fan's move flashed through Jin Hisao's mind. But no matter what, Jin Hisao immediately rejected all of them. She had a feeling that no matter what move she used, she wouldn't be able to block Li Fan's claw and would be broken through. No, an unstoppable claw. How is that possible? Jin Hisao couldn't believe it. How could Li Fan be so strong? It was as if a ferocious tiger had appeared in front of Jin Hisao. With a roar, it clawed at her. Unstoppable and domineering. In the end, Jin Hisao could only take a step back. She was drenched in sweat as she looked at Li Fan's hand grabbing her forehead. This is the true essence of the tiger form fist. Li Fan said. It's nothing more than this. Do you understand? I understand. Jin Hisao lowered her head and began to ponder. Although she was nicknamed the Immortal of Beasts, her understanding of the Xingyi fist was far inferior to Li Fan's. This kid. He had clearly started practicing martial arts not long ago. How could he surpass her by so much? She started practicing martial arts at the age of 3 and internal strength at the age of 4. In order to master the Xingyi fist, she stayed in the forest and interacted with the animals for 3 years. 3 years later, when Jin Hisao walked out of the forest, she was already a master of the Xingyi fist at the age of 10. Luo Xuewu personally appeared and summoned her into the Sword Reliance Xiaofeng. Among the 4 heavenly kings, Jin Hisao was the most loyal to Luo Xuewu. She followed her like a shadow and never left her side. She was the weakest among the 4 heavenly kings. Even the Night Rain Pavilion was stronger than her in terms of overall combat strength. Not to mention Guo Mingming and Zhan Xiaotian. Both of them were too strong. However, they had been practicing martial arts since they were young. How could Li Fan be stronger than her? Jin Hisao couldn't figure it out. Your Xingyi fist is already very powerful, but you're still lacking in terms of concept. Li Fan didn't know what Jin Hisao was thinking and continued to remind her. However, Jin Hisao was a little unhappy. I've been living with a tiger for 3 years. What makes you think that your concept is better than mine? Although you've been living with a tiger for 3 years, you don't have the heart of a tiger. Li Fan instantly entered the Black Tiger Emperor's aura. Jin Hisao almost knelt on the ground. At that moment, Li Fan's aura terrified her. Liao Wushuang stood at the side and looked at the man she loved with admiration. A woman didn't need a lot of reasons to like a man. That was enough. Chapter 700. I'm convinced, Jin Jiuma sighed. Li Fan's strength was indeed not just for show. Little Tyrant, Chief Escort of Phenomenal Escort Agency, Fiancé of Alliance Master. Jin Jiuma counted Li Fan's names, no matter which one, they are all worthy of you, you flatter me. Not at all. I've always been a truthful person. Jin Jiuma said straightforwardly, it is precisely because of this that our Alliance Master Luo took a fancy to you. Indeed, our alliance master has the best eyesight. Li Fan sighed. Fine, this girl is still Luo Xuewu's fangirl. Your alliance master Luo has chosen the wrong person. I will not marry her, nor will I have any relationship with your leaning sword Xiaoqing Feng. Li Fan said straightforwardly. But you've already joined leaning sword. Jin Jilmo reminded Li Fan, have you forgotten? Fuck, I went there under an alias, okay? Li Fan retracted his Black Tiger Emperor aura and explained, back then, it was to resolve your leaning sword's crisis, okay? This is only a mission, don't take it too seriously. It's up to you whether a man's vow should be respected or not. Jin Jilma purposely used words to provoke Li Fan. I've only joined leaning sword, it's not like I've signed a contract to sell myself. Liao Wushuang knew that Li Fan was not good at arguing with women. Thus, she stepped forward and helped Li Fan to argue with Jin Jilma. Isn't your e-sword a little too overbearing? I heard that there's a dark power in the Jianghu called solipsism. From what I see, your e-sword is no different from solipsism. You're slandering us. You're going too far. You're slandering us. Justice is in the heart. Jin Jilma was about to collapse. She realized that she could not win against this woman in an argument. No matter what, our e-sword will definitely fight for Li Fan's position. Jin Hisao muttered in his heart. Looks like I really have to work together with Ling Yu. Otherwise, they would really be besieged on all sides, with enemies everywhere. Li Fan was such a womanizer. Why did women like him so much? Tsugumi couldn't understand. They're all awake. Let's talk next time. Li Fan felt that others had gotten up, so he straightened his clothes and said. Humph, I won't let you off. Alright, Li Fan couldn't do anything to Jin Kyumo, so he could only let her be. Brother-in-law, is that girl bothering you again? Murong had also woken up. She walked over and stretched as she asked Li Fan. Do you want me to help you get rid of her? Be your sister. Why are you so hostile lately? Li Fan couldn't help but pat Murong's head. You're just a little girl, yet you're shouting about killing all day long. What a scandal. Hee, isn't that because brother-in-law has trained me well? Murong held Li Fan's arm, leaned into his bosom, and said with a smile, Renjia wants to protect brother-in-law. You're small, but your ambition is quite big. Li Fan reached out his hand and pinched Murong's nose. Of course. After all, in my heart, you're already brother-in-law. Don't give me that. Your little mouth is so sweet, did you eat honey? Yeah, brother-in-law, do you want to try it? Go away. There are so many people here. Stop messing around. That's right. Let's wait for the night when there are fewer people. Li Fan was speechless by Murong's words. Fortunately, Liao Wushuang was busy preparing for the morning's matter. Otherwise, if she saw this scene, wouldn't the sky turn upside down? While Liao Wushuang was busy over there, Li Fan saw Bai Jia walking out. This girl also changed into a new set of sportswear. This little girl was originally delicate and pretty, but now she looked a lot more neat and tidy. And Li Fan also put on his previous school uniform. Otherwise, he wouldn't have anything else to wear. Standing in the crowd, he was a bit conspicuous. Everyone was wearing the same logo and color sportswear. Only Li Fan was wearing the black and white school uniform. However, he was originally a star student, so it was impossible for him to be low-key. Bai Jia has rewrapped the shotgun and carried it on her back. She looked at Li Fan from afar. The two of them had a tacit understanding. They seemed to have a lot to say to each other, but they both tacitly hid it in their hearts. The male teacher of experimental number 1 middle school looked exhausted. Carrying a lot of luggage, he came over. Did you not sleep well? Out of politeness, Liao Wushuang asked. Teacher Liao. Sorry. I've decided to take the students back. But we still have one more day of the competition. The reservation is to go back in the evening. Liao Wushuang couldn't help but feel a bit strange. I can't. This place is too scary. The male teacher has long lost his fighting spirit. He didn't have the heart to chase after Liao Wushuang. Right now, he just wanted to leave this damn place and return to experimental number 1 middle school. What kind of students are these from number 2 middle school? Each one of them is like a god. What about today's competition? Liao Wushuang asked. It's the swimming competition. No more competition. You guys won. The male teacher was about to collapse. These few days of competition made him feel despair. Damn, even a bear and a tiger are here. What else can't they get? Alright then, we won't force you guys to stay. I hope there will be a chance to be together next time. Okay. The male teacher said a few perfunctory words. He took all the students and directly left. Bai Jia glanced at Li Fan. She seemed to have something to say. But she hesitated for a moment and turned around to follow the team. In the end, she couldn't say it out loud. They finally left. Lin Yuhsan has finished washing up. Clean and beautiful, she walked over and glanced at the leaving Bai Jia and the others. Now we have a lot of free time. You don't seem to like that Bai Jia. Li Fan couldn't help but ask. It's not that I don't like her. It's just that I can't get along with her. Lin Yuhsan frankly said, the two of us have been rivals since we were young. She always wants to surpass me. Everyone has a goal for themselves. My goal is to surpass my fiancé. That's a really ambitious goal. Lin Yuhsan dryly laughed twice. But it can't be helped. Li Fan's fiancé is really a powerful woman. The leader of the martial arts world. In this pugilistic world, there are not many people who can be more powerful than her. I also want to practice martial arts. Lin Yuhsan sighed. If only I also know martial arts, that would be great. The world of wuxia is not suitable for you. Li Fan patted Lin Yuhsan's shoulder. Just be at ease and be my accountant. I'm going to die. Fuck you. Lin Yuhsan rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Just when she was about to scold Li Fan, Liao Wushuang has already clapped her hands, calling everyone to gather. Because number 1 middle school temporarily withdrew, we can use the swimming pool today. Students, let's change into our swimsuits and go to the pool to play. Thinking of teacher Liao in a swimsuit, all the boys became excited. Chapter 701. There was a large swimming pool in the development center. It wasn't open to the public and was only rented to a few groups. For example, schools and companies. The rental fees weren't cheap. The money was paid by number 2 high school. Number 1 experimental high school wanted to win without spending any money. However, they didn't expect that number 2 high school was so powerful. At this moment, the students of number 2 high school were gathered by the pool and changed into their swimsuits. However, Li Fan forgot Liao Wushuang's instructions and didn't bring a swimsuit. Xia Yi, on the other hand, had already prepared one for him. After changing into his swimsuit, Li Fan walked into the pool. The other students were already waiting there. Many students followed Liao Wushuang to warm up and wait for their turn. Liao Wushuang was wearing a bikini swimsuit. Her figure was excellent, almost perfect. Her body was curvaceous, and the beautiful parts were covered by the swimsuit. The boys were fascinated and wanted to explore deeper. However, those places were Li Fan's territory. He would never give them away. Murong Ai, Lin Yuhsan, and the other girls also came out in swimsuits. Lin Yuhsan's swimsuit was a little conservative. It was a standard blue one-piece swimsuit, but it wrapped around her sexy little butt in an inverted triangle. Coupled with a pair of protruding long legs, it was also very eye-catching. Murong Ai's figure was about the same as Lin Yuhsan's, but her swimsuit was a lot more daring. The pink bikini with the cute red ribbons made men want to pull the ribbons apart. Jin Kyumo and Ling Yu had always been at loggerheads. They were also wearing one-piece swimsuits, which were a bit conservative. Both of them practiced martial arts all year round, so they maintained their figures well. The two girls displayed their personalities of ice and fire. Jin Kyumo was wearing a blue swimsuit, while Lingyu was wearing a red swimsuit. The two of them were like two beautiful flowers, competing with each other in beauty. Cheng Mohan, on the other hand, came out wearing a blue and white striped bikini. This woman's figure was also very good, and unlike other girls, Cheng Mohan's skin was slightly wheat-colored, which made her look very healthy and athletic. Little senior sister Xia Yi also walked out shyly. She was only wearing an ordinary one-piece swimsuit, and was even shyly wrapped in a towel. Obviously, she didn't want others to see her body. Little senior sister, don't be afraid. Isn't everyone dressed like this? When Li Fan saw Xia Yi's bashful look, he couldn't help but laugh out loud, then said to her. It's still too embarrassing. Xia Yi lowered her head, grabbed her towel, and whispered into Li Fan's ear, you guys. Why are you guys so daring? It's swimming. You even brought me a swimsuit, didn't you? Li Fan said as he moved his body. His figure was very good, and he had all the necessary lines. Xavier didn't dare look up at him. I'm the one who takes care of junior brother's life. Xia Yi said with a blushing face, this small matter, it's nothing. Little senior sister, how about I accompany you to swim 2 laps? Li Fan's swimming level was not bad, although he only knew breaststroke. I'm not good at swimming. Xia Yi repeatedly shook her head. When I was young, my cousin drowned in the water. So I have a shadow of going into the water. She expressed her resistance. I'll just stand on the shore and watch you guys swim. Little senior sister, we're martial artists. Li Fan couldn't help but smile bitterly. We can hold our breath for at least 4 to 5 minutes, and we can adjust our bodies in the water. How could we drown? Anyway. I'm just afraid. All right. Li Fan had no choice, nor could he force Xia Yi. He could only walk to the side of the pool. Everyone can move freely now. You can swim or eat. Liao Wushuang said. At the side of the pool, there were 2 long tables with all kinds of delicious food on them. Originally, they were supposed to eat at the buffet, but Liao Wushuang moved to the side of the pool and decided to have a swimsuit party for the students. Since their opponents had already run away, it was time for them to relax. Believe it or not, I'm a swimming expert of Yijian. I'm faster than you. Let's compete. Come on. Jin Kyumo and Lingyu, the 2 women, claimed to be allies, but they were always at odds with each other. The 2 girls jumped into the pool and began the competition. The other students also began to move around. In the 3rd year of high school, this was a rare good time. Splash! Li Fan suddenly plunged into the water. The pool water was a little warm. Hugging Li Fan, it was very comfortable. When Li Fan entered the water, he subconsciously activated the sky-swallowing toad state. Most of the swimming postures of humans were learned from animals. For example, breaststroke, butterfly stroke, and dog paddle. When Li Fan dived into the water, his breaststroke combined with the sky-swallowing toad was almost perfect. Li Fan's hands and feet moved rhythmically, and he immediately swam 4 to 5 meters away. As a martial artist, Li Fan's breath was extremely long. To him, he didn't even need to breathe once he swam back and forth in this 100-meter-long lane. Xia Yi looked at Li Fan from the shore with envy. Li Fan quickly swam back and came out of the water, looking at Xia Yi who was standing on the shore and drinking juice. Little senior sister, come down. Li Fan waved at Xia Yi. I'm afraid. Xia Yi was a little timid. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Ha ha ha, little senior sister who's not afraid of anything is actually afraid of someone. Come, I'll teach you how to swim. What's wrong, little senior sister? With me around, are you still worried? Li Fan gave Xia Yi a reassuring smile. The water here isn't deep, it's a 1.2 meter pool. Li Fan comforted Xia Yi, it's okay. Okay. Since her junior brother insisted, even if Xia Yi was a little afraid, she didn't want to disappoint Li Fan. She walked to the edge of the pool and slowly lowered her legs into the water. Li Fan suddenly stretched out his hand, pulled Xia Yi's hand, and pulled her into the pool. The water splashed, and little senior sister let out a cry of surprise. She leaned tightly in Li Fan's arms, feeling the surrounding water shaking. It's okay, little senior sister. Li Fan whispered in Xia Yi's ear, comforting her slightly trembling heart. This scene was seen by the other girls, and they all became unhappy. This Xia Yi, relying on her not knowing how to swim, actually stole a wave. She's too unreasonable. Li Fan, I'm good at swimming, why don't you let me teach Xia Yi? Liao Wushuang walked over with a smile, but Li Fan felt a trace of murderous intent. Chapter 702. My swimming ability is also not bad, why don't I do it? Lin Yuhsan also swam over, pulled her goggles over her head and said to Xia Yi. This little girl's freestyle swimming is very good, her posture is very standard, even Li Fan cannot help but want to praise her when he sees her. What is called a mermaid in the water, Li Fan can be considered to have experienced it today. Brother-in-law, you let them teach, we can play together. Murong Ai suddenly drilled out of the water, like a lotus flower coming out of the water, she then grabbed Li Fan's arm. No. I want junior brother to teach me, Xia Yi is like a mother hen protecting her chick, she immediately stands in front of Li Fan and glares at the few women in front of her. I really can't understand. Jean Jiuma floats in the distance, looking at the few women who are arguing, and says in a low voice, isn't it just a man, is there a need to fight like that? Outstanding men will naturally be welcomed no matter where they go. Ling Yu chuckles, however, compared to our Alliance Master Long, he is still too far away. Why doesn't your Alliance Master Long ascend to the heavens? Jean Jiuma rolls his eyes, if Long Fangyu is really as outstanding as you say, why did our Alliance Master Luo choose Li Fan and not him? That is because your Alliance Master Luo has a problem with his aesthetics. Ling Yu is speechless for a long time, only then can she say a sentence. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Ling Yu rolls her eyes, she does not want to speak anymore. The few women have already started arguing, no one wants to let Li Fan go. In the end, Li Fan directly shouted, you guys, swim separately, I will teach Xia Yi how to swim. The few of you, swim separately, I will teach Xia Yi how to swim. Li Fan's words still had some weight, and they seemed to see that he was angry, so the girls gave up and scattered like birds and beasts. Little senior sister, which type do you want to learn? After they scatter, Li Fan's mood is a little better, he turns his head and asks Xia Yi. I'll learn breaststroke too, Xia Hong thought for a moment. Wait. Breaststroke is too ugly. How about freestyle? Butterfly is not bad either. You should learn how to float first. Li Fan felt that it was pointless for Xia Ho to continue thinking like this. He remembered that Eve was a beginner. He should have taught her how to float first. Alright, Xia Yi put on her goggles. Li Fan hugged her in the water so that she could hold on to him too. Later, put your head in the water, then lift your legs to float. Li Fan explained, give it a try. Xia Yi slowly lowered her head into the water. She felt the water rushing in from all directions, pouring into her ears and nose. She immediately choked. Xia Yi raised her head, splashing water everywhere. She coughed for a long time, looking extremely uncomfortable. Little senior sister, don't be afraid. Li Fan grabbed Xia Yi's hand and gently said, you're still afraid of water. Don't be afraid, it's okay. But the water is flowing into my nose and ears, hold your breath. It's okay. Li Fan encouraged Xia Yi. I'm here, little senior sister. Xia Yi nodded. She seemed to be able to feel Li Fan's strength and courage from his hand. Xia Yi finally lowered her head into the water again. The water was like fear as it surged in from all directions and enveloped her. Don't be afraid. Xia Yi heard Li Fan's voice in the water. You're a martial artist. Hold your breath and imagine yourself flying in the air with Qinggong. Li Fan's voice guided Xia Yi, allowing her to muster her courage again. Xia Yi held Li Fan's hand with both hands, trying to get rid of her fear. At the thought of Li Fan's presence, the water did not seem so scary at that moment. She tried to float her legs slowly and floated towards the water surface. Soon, Xia Yi's entire body was close to the water surface, floating there. Her exquisite curves were faintly discernible in the water. Martial practitioners could hold their breaths for a long time. Even Xia Ho could hold his vital energy underwater for 7 to 8 minutes. She floated there quietly. Those who did not know would think that she had drowned. Only Li Fan knew that little senior sister had found the feeling. He slowly let go of his hand. Xia Yi was already able to float freely without any difficulty. It might be a little difficult for ordinary people to learn how to swim, but for martial artists, it was not a problem. As long as they used a breath of true qi, they would be able to float in the water easily. Xia Yi's courage gradually grew. She slowly swam in the water. However, her posture was not correct. She slid in the water and remained motionless. Why can't I move? Xia Yi was a little anxious. Ha, your posture is wrong. Li Fan laughed. He entered the heaven-swallowing toad state and swam around in the water. Look, this posture is correct. Oh, Xia Yi nodded her head. She imitated Li Fan's movements and swam in the water. Li Fan was a little surprised. This little senior sister either didn't know how to swim, or she was a little unstoppable when she swam. Her posture was quite standard. There was no difference from him. Little senior sister, sink your qi into your dantian, and then let your dantian qi explode from your abdomen. Li Fan transmitted his voice from thousands of miles away. He told Xia Yi, then use both hands to press the water surface and kick out with both legs. As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, Xia Yi directly pressed down on the water surface and jumped up. She directly swam more than 10 meters on the water surface and landed on the opposite platform. Xia Yi was a little surprised. The second high school students were also a little shocked. However, thinking that this person was Li Fan's friend, they calmed down and were not surprised at all. Spirit toads soaring to the sky. Jin Jiuma had studied Li Fan's 7 Heroes Fist. Seeing this move, he could not help but be surprised. How did this female disciple of the Huashan sect know Li Fan's 7 Heroes Fist? Li Fan was also surprised. He did not expect little senior sister to have some talent in the toad strike technique. This discovery made Li Fan happy. Because Li Fan found that although little senior sister liked swordsmanship, she was willing to think and create. However, the result was obvious. Her swordsmanship was not good, mainly because she did not have talent in swordsmanship. The charming gentle sword technique could only be used as a support. If little senior sister wanted to become stronger, she needed to practice some martial arts that she was good at. Toad strike technique. Li Fan felt that a more suitable door was opening for little senior sister. Little junior brother, Xia Yi looked at Li Fan, still a little shocked and could not react. Little senior sister, I'll teach you the toad strike technique later. Li Fan was really happy for Xia Yi. She had finally found a suitable path for her. This girl, why? Jin Jiuma was a little angry. Jin Jiuma was a little angry. This toad strike technique was a very advanced martial art. Even he could not learn it secretly, so why did Xia Yi learn it so easily? I'll try again. Xia Yi seemed to like swimming. She jumped into the water again and tried the breaststroke she had just learned. At this moment, Li Fan felt someone secretly hugging him from behind and whispering in his ear. Brother-in-law, hubby. Do you want to play something more exciting? Chapter 703. What is this girl trying to do now? Li Fan knew that Murong's love attribute was definitely at the level of a little devil. He turned around and was about to lecture her when Murong's love suddenly dived into the water. Immediately after, Li Fan felt a chill under his body. Then, little Li Fan entered a warm place. This girl is actually in the water. Li Fan had the urge to touch the wall, but he was surrounded by water. There was no wall for him to touch. Li Fan could only activate his true qi. As if his feet were rooted, he stepped on the bottom of the pool and stood there firmly. Murong's love didn't care about anything else and was enjoying her lunch. Li Fan looked around. Fortunately, the pool was big enough and there were fewer people around. Xia Hong was also excitedly practicing her breaststroke in the distance. However, if someone swam over, they would definitely discover the mischievous Murong's love at the bottom of the pool. Lin Yuhsen swam over in a freestyle manner. Li Fan tensed up. He couldn't be discovered by this girl. Otherwise, he would be finished. Murong's love was eating enthusiastically. It was impossible for her to stop now. Li Fan thought for a moment and decided to stop this impending disaster. He stretched out his hand and pushed the water in front of him. His true qi flowed into the water and pushed it forward. Lin Yuxian, who was originally swimming in this direction, followed the flow of the water. Her direction immediately changed, and she swam in another direction. Seeing Lin Yuxian swim to the side, Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. Damn, that was really dangerous. Tsugumi and Lin Yu also swam over. Li Fan immediately used his true qi to control the water flow and changed their direction again. True qi is really convenient. Li Fan felt his body slowly tense up as if he had reached a critical point. Normally, it wouldn't be so short. But now, this environment was too exciting. Under such stimulation, Li Fan's critical point arrived prematurely. But this was good. The pool was full of people, and Li Fan couldn't guarantee how long he could hide. Li Fan finally shivered. Then, Murong came out of the water again, wiping her mouth. Girl, you're too unscrupulous. Li Fan could not help but reprimand her in a soft voice. However, Murong giggled and said, brother-in-law has a pure yang body. Your yang essence is a great tonic for me. Really? Of course, I want to eat more. Murong licked her lips. Brother-in-law, can we have another round? You, calm down. Li Fan hurriedly swam back 2 meters, keeping a certain distance from Murong. Stop messing around. How is this messing around? This is absorbing nutrients. Murong winked at Li Fan. I'm refining myself into a cauldron. What I need the most is brother-in-law's yang essence. Cauldron? What's that? Fairy flying dragon cauldron recorded in the poison scripture. What the hell is that? Li Fan felt that he didn't understand. In ancient martial arts, there's a kind of evil kung fu. It's to feed women treasures or hundreds of poisons. No matter which one it is, it's all for the sake of nurturing the women into good cauldrons. After a certain period of time, they can be brought to the men to harvest. From there, they can obtain 10 years, 30 years, or even 60 years worth of cultivation. This does sound very evil. Li Fan was a bit horrified. Eating hundreds of poisons, can that thing be eaten? And there are 2 types of cauldrons that can be called the best. One is the fairy cauldron fed by poisonous insects. The woman must have a pure yin body. Otherwise, the poisonous insects will attack her heart and she will die within 100 days. The second is the flying dragon cauldron. It's cultivated by a famous woman who owns the Flying Dragon Cave. As for me, I meet these 2 conditions. It's the best fairy flying dragon cauldron. Brother-in-law, you're in luck. You're eating poisonous insects. Li Fan's entire body trembled. Murong AI was actually eating that kind of thing for him. It doesn't matter. I have a pure yin body. For me, that kind of thing is just a great tonic. Murong comforted Li Fan. Moreover, when I was serving brother-in-law's husband, I got several times more pleasure. I'm even more satisfied than brother-in-law's husband. This girl is indeed a devil woman. Li Fan felt that it was inconceivable. In the beginning, Murong wanted to harvest his yang to nourish her yin and kill him. But now, she wholeheartedly dedicated herself to him. This is a huge change. This kind of impossible thing happened to him. Everyone, don't just play. Remember to eat something to replenish your energy. Liao Wushuang reminded them. Right. Li Fan suddenly remembered something. Where did Lu Zhu go? I don't know. I haven't seen him. Murong shrugged her shoulders. Li Fan jumped out of the pool and landed on the edge of the pool. I'll go look for him. You guys play first. Murong suddenly revealed a sly smile. Brother-in-law's husband, you can go look for him in the men's locker room. Got it. Li Fan couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Why would Murong think of the men's locker room? But this girl has a lot of crafty ideas. Since she said so, I'll go and take a look. Li Fan passed through the pool and walked to the locker room. The men's and women's locker rooms are separated. The men have already changed their clothes and came out. But Lu Zhu is still inside. Could it be that he's not feeling well? He is a devil sect disciple and cultivates devil sect's martial arts. Could it be that he's possessed by the devil? Li Fan was worried about Lu Zhu. He directly pushed open the locker room's door and walked in. A voice came from the innermost single room. Li Fan walked over there and called out softly at the same time. Lu Zhu. Li Fan. Lu Zhu's voice seemed to be a bit panicked. Li Fan was sure that there must be something wrong with this kid. Lu Zhu, don't be afraid. I'm coming. Don't come over. Lu Zhu cried out in alarm. What's wrong? Li Fan was very worried. Are you possessed by the devil? Don't move. I'll help you adjust your breathing. No, don't think too much. I'm fine. In short, don't come over. Lu Zhu's voice became more anxious. I'm worried about you. Li Fan frowned. Is there an enemy who is threatening you? No, I'm fine. I'm really fine. I just want to be alone for a while. You go out first. I beg you. The more you act like this, the more worried I am. Li Fan firmly said, I'm the big brother. How can I not care about my brother? Li Fan took another step forward and walked over. But Lu Zhu suddenly knocked open the single room's door and ran out. Chapter 704. Lu Zhu's clothes were disheveled as if he hastily put them on. He hurriedly tied his ponytail, looking at Li Fan with a slightly flustered look. What's wrong with you? You look like you did something bad. Li Fan could not help but ask. No, nothing. Just a little uncomfortable. Lu Zhu awkwardly smiled. You wouldn't be in the locker room having sex with a girl, right? Li Fan's eyes suddenly lit up, somewhat ambiguously looking at Lu Zhu. Not bad, Lu Zhu, you really know how to play. Bastard, you, what are you thinking? Lu Zhu blushed and looked at Li Fan. Who's like you, so perverted? In all honesty, I'm a very decent man. Li Fan raised 3 fingers and swore to God, if I lie, I'll be struck by lightning. The sound of rolling thunder came from outside. Li Fan was very embarrassed. Coincidence, it must be a coincidence. Humph, it's obvious that God can't stand it anymore. Lu Zhu curled his lips. Don't quibble, you're such a guy. Ahem, let's not talk about me, what's wrong with you? Li Fan asked, let's go swimming. I can't swim. Lu Zhu quickly refused Li Fan's invitation. It doesn't matter, I can teach you. Junior sister also can't swim, but I've successfully taught her. No, that's not it. Lu Zhu quickly refused, even if you beat me to death, I won't go swimming. Why are you so stubborn? Could it be that something has happened? Anyway, I don't want to swim. Lu Zhu said and walked toward the other direction of the locker room. I'm not feeling well, I'll go back first. Hey, at least have a meal first. Li Fan said. Teacher Liao has moved the food to the pool. No, I'm not hungry. Lu Zhu thought of something, suddenly turned around and looked at Li Fan. Since there's nothing else, why don't you come with me? Where are you going after coming here? To a place I want to go. Lu Zhu did not say anything. She just looked at Li Fan, as if waiting for him to make a choice. If you don't go, I'll go alone. Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan quietly. All right, I'll go with you. Li Fan was worried about Lu Zhu. He felt that there was something wrong with him. Wait for me, I need to change my clothes. Li Fan opened his wardrobe, put on his school uniform, and then followed Lu Zhu out of the swimming pool. Li Fan didn't know what Lu Zhu was up to. She was fine yesterday, but today she was behaving strangely. After leaving the swimming pool, the sky was still bright. According to their schedule, they would be returning to school from the expansion base at around 2:00 in the afternoon. However, Lu Zhu didn't know where she was taking him. She probably wouldn't be back for a while. Li Fan guessed. At the same time, he followed Lu Zhu through the forest and came to a small river. He didn't know where this small river led to, but the water was relatively rapid. On the bank of this small river, there was a small boat left behind by Lu Zhu. What are you going to do with this small boat? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Are you willing to come with me? Lu Zhu didn't explain and just asked. All right, let's go. Since she said this, Li Fan knew that he had no choice but to follow. Then get on the boat. You can rest for a while. When you wake up, we will be there. Lu Zhu sat in the small boat and picked up the paddle. Okay, just don't sell me out. Li Fan laughed, but when he saw Lu Zhu didn't look very good, he had to put away his smile. What's wrong with you? Why do you look so serious? If I say that I am actually going to take revenge today, what would you think? Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan sitting opposite and asked while rowing the boat. Revenge? Who is the enemy? When Li Fan heard this, he also became serious. You will know when you see it. Lu Zhu didn't reveal the mystery and just continued rowing the boat. The river was rapid, so Lu Zhu didn't need to use much strength. She just kept gliding along the downstream. There were mountains on both sides. Because of the arrival of autumn, the leaves had turned yellow. The trees on the shore constantly shed yellow leaves and fell into the water, moving along with the boat. Since Lu Zhu didn't want to say, Li Fan naturally didn't force her. He sat firmly on the boat with his hands crossed in front of his chest. At the same time, the true qi in his body kept flowing, circulating in the meridians according to the method of the 7 heroes' force. Why don't you practice the 9 Buddha Sutra? Lu Zhu saw the trajectory of Li Fan's movement and couldn't help but ask. Isn't that sex martial art more powerful? No matter how good the 9 Buddha Sutra is, it is someone else's martial art. Li Fan didn't open his eyes, the corner of his mouth slightly moved, and explained, my 7 heroes fist can definitely surpass it. Your fist technique is very powerful, but it's still lacking compared to the 9 Buddha Sutra. Lu Zhu said frankly, the leader of my sect, Li Wei, practices the 9 Buddha Sutra. At present, the leader has already practiced 3 moves of the 9 Buddha Sutra, namely, Tiger Subduing, from Huashan, Exorcism, from Wudong, and Scorching Sun, from Yi Jian. If I'm not wrong, you have one more than the leader, right? Lu Zhu didn't know where she got the information from, but she simply stated her judgment. You have Vajra and Dragon Subduing, Tiger Subduing, from Huashan, and Scorching Sun, from Yi Jian. I gave you the last 2, but you don't seem to have practiced them. Your judgment is very accurate. Li Fan finally opened his eyes and looked at Lu Zhu. I do have 4 copies of the 9 Buddha Sutra, 2 of which you returned to me. However, I only practiced 2 moves and didn't practice anything else. I took a look at tiger subduing and scorching sun, and I just understood them. In this pugilistic world, you're probably the only one who has no desire for the 9 Buddha Sutra. Lu Zhu smiled bitterly. You can't say that. I want to see the complete 9 Buddha Sutra too. Li Fan smiled and said, I want to know all the martial arts in the world. I know all the martial arts in the world. Lu Zhu sighed. The 9 Buddha Sutra is the only one that I don't know. You know all of them? How is that possible? Li Fan was surprised. Do you know about the Murong family's Murong swordsmanship and the Sima family's 9 swords of bliss? I know them very well. Lu Zhu nodded. By the way, I don't know enough about your 7 gallant fists. These are probably the only 2 martial arts in the pugilistic world, and I haven't fully understood them yet. How do you understand them? Look. Lu Zhu pointed at her eyes. I have a unique ability, and that's the ability to look. No matter how complicated the martial arts in the world are, I only need to look at it once and I can learn it. Fuck. Chapter 705. Li Fan can't help but be shocked. Even if it's him, he can only learn other people's moves when he activates lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. But if he exits lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he would basically forget all the moves and only have a slight understanding of some techniques. Lu Zhu, on the other hand, is a gifted genius who has the ability to learn at a glance. He also has a photographic memory. In other words, he is a moving martial arts database. His value to the Devil Sect is probably inestimable. If he was the leader of the Devil Sect, he probably would not let Lu Zhu go. In the 21st century, the most important thing is talent. Especially a talent like Lu Zhu, who is the target for all sects and organizations to fight for. At that moment, Li Fan's eyes flashed a trace of greed. But as soon as his eyes flashed, he quickly realized his mistake. Lu Zhu is a living person, not an object. How could he have the thought of occupying him? It's just the world's martial arts. Even if he relies on himself, he can learn the world's martial arts. Then my 7-hero fist, you should have more or less learned it. Li Fan said, basically, I've used all my moves in front of you. I've studied most of the moves that you've used before. Lu Zhu said honestly, but there are a few moves that I still can't imagine. He said, that move of yours, the great god of war, seems to require a special kind of true qi to be used. I've tried it, but even if I know your moves, I can't imitate it. Ha, that's true. It requires my unique 7-hero force. Li Fan laughed. Although the 7-hero fist is easy to understand and can be imitated. But most of the moves need the support of the 7-hero force. Especially the great god of war, this move needs to reach the 5th stage of the 7-hero force to perform. Although Lu Zhu can see through all the external techniques, he can't do the same with internal techniques, right? Also, you seem to have another kind of martial arts. I've seen a video of you killing in Vladivostok Square. That you didn't perform the 7-hero fist nor the 9 Buddha Sutra. It's really difficult for me. Your 9 Buddha Sutra must have been practiced backwards, right? Li Fan asked. That's right. Sect leader said that the 9 Buddha Sutra is recorded backwards, so you have to practice it backwards in order to master it. Otherwise, you'll go berserk and explode. That's right. Li Fan smiled, I was just practicing, and I managed to learn this martial art. This, Lu Zhu was shocked. Is this possible? You're not lying to me. You are my brother who kowtowed to the ground. Why would I lie to you? Li Fan said frankly, if you want to learn, I can teach you. Aren't you afraid that I'll teach it to sect leader? Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan strangely. I'm not afraid, because I trust you. Li Fan smiled. If we don't even trust each other, then we can't be brothers. Lu Zhu gave Li Fan a few more glances. Li Fan seemed to be acting strangely. What are you looking at? What's so good about me? I'm looking at you, why are you acting so silly? Lu Zhu pouted and said, I really can't understand you. People like you are either a grandmaster or a nobody, there's no second choice. That's great, at least I'm not a nobody now. Li Fan couldn't help but chuckle, causing Lu Zhu to roll her eyes. Humph, anyway, I don't care about your business. Don't worry, I'll deal with my own business. Li Fan said confidently, moreover, I already have a group of brothers who can help me conquer the world. You're talking about Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai, right? Lu Zhu was very familiar with Li Fan's matters, they're indeed good, but they're not enough to help you expand your territory. They're brothers who followed me from nothing, so they're important. But they're not the only ones in the primeval escort agency. Li Fan was a bit proud. There's also Bodhi, the invincible Buddhist disciple, among the martial artists. Also, there's Flying Cat and Xia Ho as backup for the sect. In Kyoto, we also have the 11 cavalrymen from the Dragon Hall. Their combat power is unparalleled. I know. The primeval escort agency is no longer the small escort agency it used to be. Lu Zhu nodded. Especially with Lu Xinnan's Crimson Dragon Society behind you. They will be your external contacts and provide financial support. But the 11 cavalrymen aren't on your side after all. Xia Ho and the Flying Cat weren't considered to be very strong. And Bodhi will be sent back to the Shaolin Temple at any time. The rest, such as Huang Lei, the Devil Incarnate, and Sun Qingchen, are all ordinary people who can only help you with your business. In the martial world, you only have 3 people. You, Guan Wenbao, and Yan Kai. Lu Zhu analyzed the situation for him and found that she was right, so Li Fan couldn't refute her. If you don't deal with these problems, you'll suffer a lot sooner or later. I can handle it myself. Li Fan still had a bit of pride in his voice. Otherwise, why would I train so hard? I just want to protect them. Why do you always like to take on everything? Lu Zhu was a bit angry. Can't you share your work with others? Don't you know that we should share blessings and difficulties? We can share blessings and difficulties, but I'll handle them myself. Li Fan smiled gently. You can tell me if you're in trouble. I'll handle it for you. Humph. I don't want to talk to you. Lu Zhu seemed a little unhappy. He turned his head and looked at the mountains and trees that were slowly receding on both sides, ignoring Li Fan. Hey, why are you angry? Li Fan didn't know what Lu Zhu was thinking. This kid is always angry. Li Fan closed his eyes again and began to adjust his internal energy. The boat seemed to need to move for a long time. Because Lu Zhu was protecting him, he could peacefully enter into a deep state of cultivation. He once again came to the visualization world and quietly looked at the 2 worlds. The 9 stars in the sky flickered and dimmed. Li Fan once again gathered his strength and began to attack the dome of heaven above his head. The defense of the 7th star was too strong. It was obviously not on the same level as the previous 6 stars. Li Fan felt that as long as he could break this star, he would be able to make great progress. He had stayed in the 6th level for too long. It was time to improve. Li Fan stood in his visualization world with both his feet on the water surface. With full concentration, he sent his strength to the 7th star. Chapter 706. Li Fan stepped on the surface of the water and looked at the star above his head. He felt as if he had come to life in the visualization world. Everything was so real. Li Fan suddenly raised his hand and slammed it towards the 7th star above his head. The Great War God popped out and appeared behind him. Following his movements, it unleashed a Bear King seal and slammed it towards the star above his head. Rumble. The star shook, but it was unharmed. Li Fan frowned. It seemed that the Bear King seal alone was not enough to break through the star's defense. The Great War God behind Li Fan turned golden, and all the energy in his body seemed to be burning. The great war god's hands suddenly pushed upwards, and the condensed energy instantly shot out. Dragon spitting pearl. A golden chi bead suddenly shot into the sky and slammed into the star. Light exploded from the star, as if it had lit up the star. But after the light dissipated, the star was still in good condition. It was not destroyed by Li Fan's move. Damn, awesome! Li Fan couldn't help but give a thumbs up. As expected of his acupuncture point, its defense was really strong. The power of this dragon-spitting pearl was definitely strong, but it still could not shake it. Li Fan was not discouraged. He took a deep breath and began to compress the Great War God's energy. The Great War God's body became smaller and smaller, and soon turned into a golden armor, which was draped over Li Fan's body. Golden armor. Li Fan's entire body was shining with golden light, as if he was an invincible general who had walked out of the battlefield. He visualized his extraordinary sword, and at the same time, he pointed his hands upwards. The extraordinary sword instantly flew up into the sky, and then, Li Fan poured all the true chi in his body into it, turning it into electricity. God slaying. Li Fan roared, and lightning immediately flew out from the sword and slashed at the star above his head. Dang! Boom! The star shook violently, and cracks appeared on it, but it still maintained its intact state. Li Fan's power was still not enough to destroy the seventh star. Good! You're awesome! Li Fan's eyes glowed with a golden light. He didn't believe that he couldn't deal with this 7th level cultivation technique. The force of 7 heroes was something he had created himself. If he were to say that he was unable to break through the bottleneck of the force of 7 heroes, it would be a joke. Great God of War, extreme. Li Fan urged all his strength, causing his true chi to almost go berserk. The space was slowly dyed gold. The golden war god stood up once more, condensed and powerful. He controlled the war god and gathered all the true chi in his body onto his palms. Li Fan felt that the power in his palm was about to explode. He suddenly pushed upwards. 7 brilliances, absolute kill, wisdom king omnidirectional. The power in his palms was condensed to the extreme, converging together and striking the distant star. Boom! Li Fan used up almost all of his energy, and the 7th star finally began to crack. Finally, with a loud rumble, it transformed into countless stars. An even brighter star appeared there, and the 7th level acupoint was also opened. At that moment, Li Fan felt a burst of energy in his body, as if a powerful force was surging out from his dantian and pouring into his meridians. And this visualization world was divided into black and white. When Li Fan destroyed the 7th star, the world in the white space also changed. The 7 giant beasts all disappeared, and a war god covered in golden armor stood there. His body was huge, like a god, towering into the clouds, and his might shook all directions. This is my power. Li Fan looked at the huge golden-armored war god and felt a deep shock in his heart. After breaking through the 7th level, his martial arts finally had a breakthrough. Li Fan slowly opened his eyes. Lu Zhu, who was sitting opposite him, immediately looked shocked. Li Fan's gaze changed. When he first met Li Fan, his eyes were like 2 daggers, piercing people's hearts. Later, when Li Fan's martial arts improved, his gaze became much gentler, but there was also a sense of majesty. And at this moment, in Li Fan's eyes, there was an additional domineering aura that couldn't be ignored. Could it be? During this time on the boat, Li Fan's strength had improved by leaps and bounds again. Where are we? Li Fan seemed to be fine. He looked around and found that they had entered an open water. Soon, we're not far away. Lu Zhu stretched out her hand and pointed. There was a small dock in the distance, and there were a few cargo ships docked at the dock, seemingly transporting some goods. On the dock, some strong men were moving goods. Judging from their strenuous state, these goods didn't seem to be light. What are they doing here? Li Fan was a little puzzled. The Sea Snake Gang. Lu Zhu pointed to the dock. They are responsible for the water cargo in this area. From the name, it seems to be a gang from the underworld. Li Fan muttered. Yes, they are an affiliated gang of the Murong family. Affiliated gang? It was the first time Li Fan had heard of this name. Of course, there are no less than thousands of gangs of all sizes in the underworld. Many small gangs want to survive, so they have to attach themselves to the big gangs. Lu Zhu explained, this is the case with the Sea Snake Gang. They used to be in charge of shipping, but later, they were defeated by a rival gang and chased out of the coastal city to the inland. Then, they attached themselves to the Murong villa and received the support of the Murong family. That's why they have today's business. It's also a way to survive. Li Fan did not comment. Let's go closer and take a look. Lu Zhu said as she moved the oars, making the boat quickly approach the dock. However, at this moment, a few sampans came over and blocked their way. You two, stop. A man wearing a gray singlet and black underpants stepped on the sampans and shouted at them. To be able to wear so little clothes in this weather, Li Fan could already tell that this man should be a martial artist. This place has been sealed by the Sea Snake Gang. You guys can go to another dock. The Sea Snake Gang is just a gang in charge of shipping. Since when did you have the right to seal the dock? Lu Zhu sneered. This dock belongs to the government. Whoever wants to dock doesn't need to ask for your permission. Brat, I think you're out of your mind. The man in the gray singlet sneered. How dare you go against the Sea Snake Gang in this water? You're simply courting death. The Sea Snake Gang is nothing. Lu Zhu's eyes rolled as she pointed at Li Fan and said, this is Li Fan, known as the little tyrant in the underworld. He's Murong Bo's son-in-law. Upon hearing this name, the expressions of the man in the gray singlet and his companions changed. Their eyes fell on Li Fan, sizing him up a few more times. One of them even took out his phone and looked at it twice before nodding at the man in the gray singlet. Chapter 707. I didn't know it was you, young Master Li, sorry for not welcoming you earlier. Knowing that the person who came was Li Fan, the son-in-law of Murong Villa, the man in the gray vest immediately cupped his hands respectfully to Li Fan. Can I go over now? Li Fan asked. I'm afraid not. The man in the gray vest rejected Li Fan once again. If you want to enter this dock, you must have the permission of Villa Master Murong. Ha! Li Fan was also unhappy. This dock is shared. How can you seal it just because you say so? I insist on going in today. What can you do to me? You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The man in the gray vest rebuked angrily. I'm being polite to you because you're the son-in-law of the Villa Master. But you don't know what's good for you. Get lost. If you take another step forward, don't blame me for being rude. Is that so? With his hands behind his back, Li Fan looked at the few members of the Sea Snake Gang in front of him. Ha! How can a pretty boy like you, who relies on his connections through the back door, understand the power of our Sea Snake Gang? The man in the gray vest laughed. When I was galloping on the sea, you were still pinching shit somewhere. In that case, tell me your name. Li Fan said, since we're going to fight, tell me your name first. He, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You actually want to fight with me. The man in the gray vest did not take Li Fan seriously at all. In his heart, Li Fan was just a pretty boy who relied on a woman to get his position. If he wasn't the son-in-law of the Villa Master, who in the pugilistic world would take him seriously? What little tyrant? It's all nonsense. I heard that this kid has also practiced a special technique called the Seven Heroes Fist. He probably got it from the Villa Master. It's really unfair. A pretty boy can casually get a peerless secret technique to cultivate. As for them, they had to struggle bitterly in their sex even if they tried their best. He might as well take this opportunity to beat this brat up and force him to spit out the secret of the Seven Hero Fist. Then, He might be able to become a dragon. Grandpa will never change his name or surname, Li Yao. Remember. It's the same family. Li Fan smiled. Come on then. Let this idiot witness the might of the sea snake gang. Li Yao shouted. The men on the boat beside him all held onto their fishing rods and jumped towards Li Fan. Lu Zhu grabbed her black jade fan, as if she was about to attack. Leave it to me. Li Fan stood on the boat with his hands behind his back. Looking at the men from the sea snake gang who had jumped over, he did not move and only shouted. Ha! He let out a loud shout, bringing with it a strong true energy. The waves were stirred up, as if there was a monster hiding in the water. It was eager to try and surge out. The men from the clown sea snake gang who had jumped over were directly blown away by Li Fan's true energy. In the blink of an eye, they were thrown far away and smashed into the water behind them. As for the boats in front of him, they were also blown away and tossed about. In fact, many of the boats were shattered by the blast of true energy, breaking into pieces and sinking into the water. When Li Yao saw this scene, he was shocked to the extreme. How is this possible? This is not the true energy that a pretty boy should have. It's too strong and domineering. Li Fan is like an unsheathed sword. When it's unsheathed, it's simple and unadorned, but when it's unsheathed, it's invincible. The true energy in Li Fan's body had accumulated to an extreme. At this moment, when he broke through, his true energy directly rose and was sent to the level of 7 dragons. Amazing! Lu Zhu could not help but exclaim, he actually broke through his limit on the boat. Li Fan acted as if nothing had happened. He watched the river return to its calm state and continued to stand there with his hands behind his back. Although the current Li Fan had not reached the strength of a grandmaster, he already had the demeanor of a grandmaster. This time, it's just a warning. Li Fan said, next time, it'll be the time of your death. You. Li Yao's vicious words lingered in his mouth twice, but he still swallowed them back. This is the Villa Master's business. If you dare to trespass, the Villa Master will definitely not forgive you. Villa Master? Is it Murong Bo? Li Fan remained calm. He doesn't have a good impression of me to begin with, so why should I be afraid of him? How presumptuous! Li Yao roared and picked up his water-splitting rod from the boat. I'll let you know how powerful I am. With that, he roared and stomped his feet, leaving the boat. Treading on the water, he quickly approached Li Fan. His speed on the water was very fast. His feet continuously treading on the water, like a speedboat, he approached Li Fan at high speed. Li Fan's complexion slightly changed. When Li Yao jumped in front of him, he suddenly hit him with his palm. Li Yao's water-splitting rod did not hit Li Fan at all. Instead, Li Fan's palm had already imprinted on his chest. Bang! Li Yao's body was directly hit and flew out. In an instant, he split the water and crashed on the distant dock, causing a row of goods to collapse. The cargo box was broken, revealing the goods inside. Inside, there were skinny figures, men and women, old and young. Their faces showed panic, as if they were startled animals. Although Li Fan's temperament has calmed down a lot, seeing this scene, he could not help but be shocked. What is this situation? Why are there people in the cargo box? Li Yao. Li Fan's thunderous roar exploded in Li Yao's ears. You dare to do this shady business of human trafficking? Li Yao, who was unconscious, was shaken awake by Li Fan's roar. He opened his eyes and saw the furious Li Fan. He immediately felt a chill, as if the god of death was staring at him. No, not me. It's the Villa Master. These are people who believe in my devil's sect. Lu Zhu explained, they were captured and transported here, then handed over to Murong Villa for Murong Bo to practice martial arts. What? Li Fan was somewhat puzzled. What kind of martial arts does Murong Bo want these people to practice? Don't you know, in this Jianghu, there is a martial art called Vairocana Heart Sutra. Lu Zhu said, "It is said that it was created by the undying evil Buddha. By absorbing other people's life, it can strengthen one's internal energy." Murong Bo has always wanted to study this kind of martial art, but the Vairocana Heart Sutra has long been lost, so he studied it himself. For the sake of his research, who knows how many people from the devil's sect have died. Lu Zhu sneered, then looked at Li Fan. "Li Fan, big brother, this is the righteous path that you have always believed in. Sometimes, what they do is even contemptuous of us from the devil's sect." Li Fan frowned deeply. His heart was filled with mixed feelings and his mood was complicated. "Is this the revenge you were talking about?" "Yes, I want to kill all the members of the Sea Snake Gang and rescue my companions from the solipsism sect." Lu Zhu stood up from the small boat and raised her black jade fan. "Li Fan, just watch from the side." Chapter 708. As Lu Zhu spoke, she stepped on the waves and leaped towards the pier. "Save me. Please save us." Seeing Lu Zhu coming over on the waves, the trapped disciples of the devil cult were filled with hope and asked Lu Zhu for help. Some of the men from the Sea Snake Gang jumped out and prepared to stop Lu Zhu. Although Lu Zhu was not a great expert, he was still quite powerful. He waved his fan and shot out a row of black darts. These black darts were like black poisonous insects. In the blink of an eye, they flew towards the members of the Sea Snake Gang and hit their bodies. Bang, bang, bang. These black darts sent the men from the Sea Snake Gang flying and falling into the water. Lu Zhu took advantage of the gap and landed on the dock. He tapped the black jade fan, and a sharp blade popped out from the tip of the fan. Then, he slashed at the iron chain on a cage. However, at this moment, a silver spear suddenly pierced through the air and hit Lu Zhu's black jade fan. Lu Zhu was sent flying more than 10 meters in the air. Then, he was caught by Li Fan and gently placed on the boat. A man in bright silver armor was standing on the dock, holding a bright silver spear in his hand. He was full of heroic spirit and had a serious expression on his face, as if a divine soldier had descended from the heavens. "I'm sorry, this is the territory of the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. You are not allowed to be presumptuous here." The silver-armored man shook his spear and said arrogantly. "White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains." Li Fan frowned and looked at the silver-armored man. "That's right, they're from the White Tiger Hall." Lu Zhu smiled bitterly. Among the 4 major alliances, the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has always been secretly serving Murong Bo. These shameful deeds were personally carried out by them. "Shameful deeds?" The silver-armored man smiled. "Stop joking. It's an honor for these lackeys of the devil cult to be able to contribute to Villa Master Murong before they die." "Nonsense." Li Fan was already a little angry. The value of a person is not something you can judge. "Li Fan, you are such a hypocrite." The silver-armored man sneered, "Don't forget, you've also killed a lot of devil cult disciples. Now that things have come to this, what right do you have to criticize me?" "You're right, I'm not a good person either." Li Fan said, "So, I just don't like you, so I want to beat you up." "Alright, but whether or not you can beat me is another matter." The silver-armored man was very proud. "Our White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has as many experts as there are clouds in the sky. How can we be defeated by a guy who relied on a woman to get his position?" "Alright, leave your name." This battle was unavoidable, and Li Fan was already prepared. "You don't deserve to know my name." The silver-armored man raised his silver spear and pointed it at Li Fan, his eyes filled with disdain. "After you die, go ask the King of Hell." "Li Fan, you have to be careful. The elites of White Tiger Hall in the Chinese plains are very powerful." Lu Zhu reminded Li Fan. "Don't worry, the elites of Fifan Escort Agency are even more powerful." As Li Fan spoke, he pushed Lu Zhu to the nearby boat with both hands. The silver-armored man had already stabbed out with his spear. The water surface was split apart by the force, and the force of the spear had already reached Li Fan in an instant. With a wave of his hand, Li Fan stretched out his palm and blocked the force released by the spear. Bang! The surrounding waves rose up, transforming into ripples that spread out. Li Fan stood on the small boat, right in the center of the ripples. The small boat swayed slightly, but Li Fan remained calm as he looked at the silver-armored man in the distance. His expression did not change in the slightest. Not bad. The silver-armored man flexed his muscles. You actually managed to block my spear. You have some ability. Don't worry, you'll know soon enough. Li Fan smiled. I have quite a lot of abilities. Let's talk about it if you can survive until then. As the silver-armored man spoke, he jumped up from the dock and descended from the sky, thrusting his spear at Li Fan. Li Fan dodged to the side, and the silver-armored man's spear pierced the air. Bang! The river behind him directly exploded, and like a silver dragon, it soared into the sky. The silver-armored man landed on the small boat and brandished his spear, continuously attacking Li Fan. However, Li Fan only dodged left and right, constantly avoiding the silver-armored man's spear. After attacking for more than 10 times, the silver-armored man was still unable to hit Li Fan. Whenever his spear swept across the water surface, huge waves would rise, as if there was a water demon causing trouble. Cloud Dragon Transformation. The silver-armored man's spear trembled, and in an instant, he stabbed out more than 10 times, each spear aimed at Li Fan's vital points. Li Fan's body bounced, and with a somersault, he jumped over the silver-armored man's head and landed on the other side of the boat. Bang! Li Fan did not forget to give the silver-armored man a kick, causing him to stagger. He stepped forward on the small boat and used his true chi to support himself on the water surface. Only then did he stabilize his body. The silver-armored man frowned and turned around. Holding his spear, he glared at Li Fan. How can a mere gigolo be stronger than me? The silver-armored man was extremely unconvinced. He was an expert of the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. How could he lose to a brat? In the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains, all the experts were divided into 4 ranks. From bottom to top, they were soldier, minister, and general. The silver-armored man himself was a minister-level expert, so he was filled with confidence. The White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains was also different from other alliances. The members of other alliances were chosen from various sections. After joining, the martial arts they learned were also a mix of good and bad people. Only the White Tiger Hall was different. The White Tiger Hall had a martial art called Divine Heavenly Soldier. This martial art was strong in that it could absorb all the other martial arts. The silver-armored man's Divine Heavenly Soldier was trained to the level of minister level. Therefore, he was extremely conceited and complacent. Divine Heavenly Soldier. The silver-armored man roared. His body was wrapped in a layer of black light. The 3rd level. The silver-armored man took another step forward and stepped onto the small boat. His true chi vibrated on the river below, and ripples spread out. He thrust his spear straight at Li Fan's heart. Li Fan tried to dodge again. But this time, the silver-armored man's spear suddenly sped up. It was like a rocket disconnecting. Its speed increased sharply, and Li Fan had nowhere to dodge. Clang! Li Fan extended his crane hand and hit the spear. But the spear did not budge. Instead, it shook off Li Fan's hand. The spear's tip was already in front of Li Fan's throat. Fight the tiger! Li Fan suddenly punched out. The fist aura broke through the void and landed on the silver-armored man's chest. Bang! The silver-armored man's body slid a meter away. He landed back on the small boat and stabilized his body. Li Fan's punch did not have much effect. It was really unbelievable. Hee, our White Tiger Hall's Divine Heavenly Soldier can increase one's defense to the limit. Just based on your attack, you can't even break my defense. The silver-armored man became arrogant again. Chapter 709. It was a skill that increased one's defensive power. This was very similar to the White Tiger Hall, which charged and broke through enemy lines. Li Fan has heard about the 4 major alliances. Almost everyone in the White Tiger Hall is from the military, and every one of them is a battle-hardened warrior. The battlefield is different from a martial arts fight. On the battlefield, there are enemies in all directions, and it is useless to rely on strength to fight in the midst of thousands of soldiers. Any enemy can inflict a fatal wound on you with a single stab. The heavenly soldier Kung Fu could greatly enhance one's defense, which also increased one's survivability on the battlefield. It is indeed a martial skill that has evolved over many years. Li Fan can't help but admire it. He takes a step forward and hits the silver-armored man a few times. Black ripples spread out, and the silver-armored man only takes 2 steps back, but his body is not injured. Sure enough, this heavenly soldier's defense is unimaginably strong. How are you going to deal with this kind of defense? The silver-armored man laughs loudly, seemingly very proud. Li Fan's expression is still normal, as if he is not worried at all. Why, aren't you afraid? The silver-armored man looks at Li Fan, feeling that he is very indifferent. Yes. Li Fan nodded, it is nothing. How arrogant. The silver-armored man's eyes sharpen, I will let you die under the spear of the young master. With that, the silver-armored man's spear is also wrapped in black light, and he thrusts it towards the center of Li Fan's eyebrows. This spear is unstoppable, as if it can pierce through the 9 heavens. But at this time, Li Fan makes his move. His eyes emit golden light, and then his left hand suddenly wraps around the silver-armored man's spear, and his right hand directly hits the silver-armored man's chest. Before the silver-armored man can react, Li Fan's palm has already burst out a ball of true energy. Bang! Li Fan's true energy hits the silver-armored man's chest, and the silver-armored man is directly sent flying, instantly splits the water, and falls on the distant pier. The silver-armored man stands up and roars, I am fine. Your attack can't hurt me. Pooh! He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and half knelt on the ground. The black light in front of his chest dimmed a bit, and cracks appeared on his breastplate. Impossible, the silver-armored man looked at the wound on his chest with shock in his eyes. Li Fan stood there, his eyes faintly emitting a golden light. His aura seemed to have completely changed. He just stood there, looking majestic without being angry. The golden light on Li Fan's body converged and turned into a golden armor in the blink of an eye. At this time, Li Fan was like the mighty god of war in the visualization world. Divine Dragon General. This was the power that Li Fan obtained after activating the 7th level of the 7 Heroes Force. The 7 heroes combined into one, especially the strength of the snake and the toad, stacked together and transformed into the Divine Dragon General. The snake transformed into a dragon and soared into the clouds. Li Fan leaped into the air, reaching a height of more than 10 meters. Each time he stepped on the air, it was like he was walking on flat ground, and he soared another 3 to 4 meters. In an instant, Li Fan leaped 100 meters high. The surrounding wind blew on Li Fan's body. Li Fan filled his body with true qi, making his body as light as a feather. He floated in the air and looked down. The silver-armored man stood on the dock below, as small as an ant. Li Fan filled his palm with true qi and struck down. Dragon King Seal. Like a divine dragon hiding in the clouds, a claw descended from the sky. The palm wind instantly landed on the dock, pressing down on the silver-armored man's body. Bang! A huge palm print appeared on the dock, as if it was a real dragon claw. The silver-armored man was pressed on the dock, unable to move. The armor on his body continued to crumble. The dock immediately collapsed, and the silver-armored man fell into the cold river. Li Fan landed on the wooden boat again, stabilizing his body. Lu Zhu stood at the side, dumbstruck. Li Fan actually became stronger again. What the hell was this Divine Dragon General? It seemed like the 7 heroes' martial arts were merged into one. There was also a dragon form fist in Xingyi Quan. However, most of the dragon form fist had form but no form, so very few people used it. As for Li Fan's divine dragon general, it was as if a real dragon had descended, a divine general descending from the heavens. Divine dragon general. Li Fan, you really know how to surprise me. Lu Zhu laughed bitterly. She didn't know if she was happy for Li Fan or sad for Li Fan. The silver-armored man climbed out of the water in a sorry state. His silver spear had broken into two and disappeared into the water. Li Fan crossed his arms and looked at the silver-armored man in front of him. Li Fan. You dare to attack my White Tiger Hall. From now on, the entire White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains will be your enemy. Welcome. Li Fan smiled, and the golden armor on his body dissipated bit by bit. You're welcome to disturb me. Li Fan indeed had too many debts to bear. He couldn't even count the number of enemies he had now. In the pugilistic world, there was the embroidered uniform guard, egoistic sect, Sima clan, Yama Hall, and now the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. Outside the pugilistic world, there was the Storm mercenary group watching him closely, and there was a brother called Sam secretly controlling them. All of these enemies wanted to kill him, but Li Fan was still alive and well until now. Li Fan, are you crazy? Do you want to ally with the evil cult? The silver-armored man was still unwilling to give up. He climbed onto the dock and held onto the ground, looking at Li Fan with eyes that looked like he wanted to devour him. These are the lackeys of the evil cult. If you save them, you'll ally with the evil cult and become the enemy of the world. Ha! I, Li Fan, was born to do as I please. Li Fan laughed. If the righteous path of the pugilistic world is like you, then what's the harm in becoming the enemy of the world? What arrogant words! Do you know how big the pugilistic world is? You want to become the enemy of the entire pugilistic world? Do you think you're the undying evil Buddha? Even the undying evil Buddha was killed by the pugilistic world. Then let's try. Li Fan didn't have any intention of backing down. The one who has to choose is not me, but you. He pointed at the prisoners. Either release them or die here. Make your choice. You. The silver-armored man wanted to curse, but he looked at Li Fan, cursing and swallowing it back. Now wasn't the time to curse. Maybe he would really die. Li Fan, don't regret it. The silver-armored man turned around and walked away. You sure run fast. Li Fan retracted his chi back into his dantian, and at this time, Lu Zhu began to release the imprisoned evil cult disciples. Thank you, thank you. Looking at the people who were released, Li Fan had mixed feelings in his heart. Chapter 710. Bang! Muronging smashed the table next to her and then glared at Li Fan. Li Fan, you've made a big mistake. Made a mistake. Li Fan sat on the sofa opposite her, crossed his legs, and looked relaxed. What do you mean by that? Still want to quibble? Muronging was infuriated by Li Fan's attitude. What kind of person was he? When she was talking about him, he was still so frivolous. What trouble did I make? You became sworn brothers with the people of the devil cult, and you even kidnapped important devil cult captives. Everyone in Jianghu knows about it. The two sat in the living room of the villa. Muronging was wearing a fiery red cheongsam, and her eyes were filled with anger as she looked straight at Li Fan. You've made such a big mistake, and you still don't realize it. I don't think I've made a mistake. Li Fan said, I just saved some people who didn't want to die. Nonsense, those people are the dogs of the devil cult. Even if they joined the devil cult, it doesn't mean that they'll be a member of the devil cult forever, right? Li Fan frowned. These people can't even get a quick death, and they'll be taken by your father to practice martial arts and absorb their life force at will. Is this the right way? What? What does this have to do with my father? Muronging was very puzzled. Those devil cult disciples were sent to the Central Plains White Tiger Hall to be imprisoned. It seems that as the leader of Wulin, your intelligence is too poor. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh at Murong Ying. You don't even know what your father does in private? Although he's a bit overbearing, for so many years, he's always loved me and Xiao Ai like a mountain. Murong Ying's expression turned serious. I know that you don't get along with him, but you shouldn't slander him, that's too unmanly. I slander him. I saw it with my own eyes. Li Fan frowned. The White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has always served your father. Murong family has family rules. They definitely won't have any dealings with the Four Alliances. Murong Ying said solemnly, that's what my father has always taught me. That's why I've never interacted with anyone from the Four Alliances. Don't you know that? How about you? I can probably believe it. But you're the only one who believes in your father. You are my man. You should believe whatever I believe. Murong Ying said overbearingly, I think you've been led astray by Lu Zhu from the devil cult. From now on, you're not allowed to have any contact with him. Hey, you sound like I'm a kid who likes to play with bad kids. Li Fan felt uncomfortable when he heard this. Although Lu Zhu is a member of the devil cult, she is not a bad person. As long as you follow me, I will bring him back sooner or later. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to bring him back. Instead, he will take you away. Murong Ying was very unhappy. For the next few days, you're not allowed to go out. Stay at home and reflect on it. Fuck, you're still confining me? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Am I such an obedient person? If you dare to run out, I'll find a chance to kill that Lu Zhu. Murong Ying stood up and scoffed. Let's see if I can do it or not. You. Li Fan was somewhat angry. But Murong Ying was also a stubborn person. Once she decided on something, she would not be able to change her mind. Fuck, how did I end up with such a fiancé? Li Fan was not in a good mood. He gloomily returned to his room. After entering, Li Fan directly sat cross-legged. Ever since he broke through to the 7th level, he had not had a chance to consolidate his strength. In this case, if his strength was stronger than his state of mind, a heart demon would arise. Li Fan sat on the bed and entered the visualization world. In his visualization world, a huge divine general stood facing the sky with extraordinary momentum. On the other side, a black radiance shrouded the world, causing everything to be in darkness. Li Fan was adjusting his breath and consolidating his strength. But at this time, the calm water surface slowly moved and a ripple spread out. At this time, a figure slowly emerged from the water surface and appeared in front of Li Fan. This figure was not someone else. He was very familiar. Mr. Yang. Li Fan was very surprised to see him. How could it be you? I'm not Mr. Yang. I'm you. This Mr. Yang's figure changed and in a blink of an eye, he turned into Li Fan. I am you, the deepest desire in your heart. The other Li Fan looked over and said slowly. You should take a good look at yourself. The life you're living now is not what you want. In the darkness, Li Fan slowly said. I know what I want. You don't have to tell me. As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, the dark version had already arrived in front of him. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and poked Li Fan's forehead with 2 fingers. Li Fan frowned. He felt his body instantly distort. In the blink of an eye, he entered a new world. The world was dark and gloomy. Li Fan wore a black and white imperial coat and sat on top of a tall building. This place was already in ruins. There was no sign of human habitation. Li Fan just sat quietly on the roof and looked into the distance. Li Fan. You devil, today is the day you die. Suddenly, a roar came from below. Downstairs, more than 10 martial artists walked over. Oh. There are still some fish that escaped the net. Li Fan smiled. I thought that almost everyone in this world had been killed by me. Bastard, you devil, we must kill you. More than 10 martial artists pulled out their respective weapons. These people's martial arts were not ordinary. All of them had reached the peak of martial arts. They used qinggong, stuck to the wall and rushed towards the roof. But Li Fan did not even have the intention to stand up. He just waved his hand. His finger was like a sword as he threw out a sword aura. Puff! A few martial artists' bodies were directly split into two by Li Fan and fell to the ground. The remaining martial artists had already jumped in front of Li Fan. The leading woman held a long sword in her hand and stabbed towards Li Fan's eyes. Martial arts has declined. Li Fan sighed. With a flick of his finger, the sword broke into a few pieces. With a push of his palm, the broken sword flew out and pierced through the throats of the remaining martial artists. All the martial artists were killed by Li Fan. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This is much more comfortable. The city was like a wilderness with the wind of death blowing. Just at this moment, a shout came from the sky. Li Fan! Look at what you have done. Li Fan opened his eyes and saw Murong Ying's figure descending from the sky. Countless pink cherry blossom petals floated down and rolled towards Li Fan. Finally here. Li Fan smiled, let's see who is better. Chapter 7-11. The two of them threw themselves at each other, each displaying a fatal move. Li Fan woke up with a start and found himself sitting in the practice room, covered in cold sweat. What was going on just now? What did I see? Did I fall asleep while practicing and have a nightmare? Li Fan was sweating profusely and felt that something was wrong. Was this dream a sign of something? Li Fan was a little confused, he just felt that it was very unbelievable. Everything in the dream was too real. Just when Li Fan was puzzled, his phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Lu Xinan. Li Fan looked out of the window and saw that the sky was getting brighter. Why was Lu Xinan looking for him so early in the morning? Li Fan, come out and get ready to go. He picked up the phone and heard Lu Xinan's familiar urging voice. This lass had always been an impatient person. She was always impatient in everything she did. Go. Yes, Daming's treasure. Lu Xinan explained, I've cracked the code and got the map. We can go now. Hey. This is too sudden. I'm not ready yet. Sudden my ass. I sent you a message 2 days ago to remind you, okay? 2 days ago. Li Fan opened his phone and found that he had indeed received a message from Lu Xinan 2 days ago. That's not right. I didn't see this message 2 days ago. When Li Fan took a closer look, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Damn it. I've been meditating for 2 whole days. 1 day in the cave was like 1,000 years in the world. Li Fan looked at the table. Sure enough, there was some food on it. Tai Zhu would probably send him new food every day on time, but he had not woken up to eat it. For a martial artist, closed-door training was a common thing. Once an inner force expert entered a meditative state, it was not a big problem for him to not eat or drink for a few days and nights. But now that he had woken up, Li Fan felt his stomach rumbling. He was indeed starving. All right, wait for me downstairs. I'll be right back. Li Fan looked out of the window. As expected, Lu Xinan's car was parked outside the courtyard. As Li Fan wolfed down his food, he sent a message to Ling Tian to arrange for someone to wait for him at Fifan Escort Agency. Li Fan had a feeling that this trip was filled with hidden dangers. His eyelids kept twitching when he was eating. Ba. Li Fan thought to himself, I need to find a professional to dig up people's graves. The devil incarnate had done a lot of fighting in the past. Let him join in. Also, call Subhoodie along. If there really is a zombie or something like that, it'd be good to have this monk chant some scriptures. Li Fan hurriedly finished his meal and was about to open the door to leave. But the gold and silver swordsmen were standing outside the door. The two extended their hands and blocked Li Fan's path. What's the meaning of this? Li Fan's face immediately darkened. I'm sorry. Eldest Miss ordered that without her permission, son-in-law is not allowed to leave. The gold and silver swordsmen spoke in unison. Their voices were in sync as if they were one person. The two of them were of one mind and looked at Li Fan with unfriendly gazes. It seems that the two of you don't have a good memory. Li Fan calmed down and looked at them indifferently. Do you think you can stop me with just the two of you? Son-in-law, the two of us practice the gold and silver swords. Once we unleash our full power, we can ascend to godhood and slay ghosts. The two of them replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Li Fan smiled. All right. Come, let me see how the two of you ascend to godhood and slay ghosts. With that, Li Fan took a step forward. Son-in-law, if you take another step forward, don't blame us for being impolite. Li Fan took another step forward. Gold and silver swords. The gold and silver swordsmen immediately unsheathed the swords on their backs. Intertwining with each other, they instantly shot in front of Li Fan. The speed of the two swords was as fast as bullets. It was indeed amazing. If it was an ordinary martial fighter, facing this bullet-like flying sword, they would indeed be hit. But the two of them encountered Li Fan. The speed of the two swords slowed down a lot in Li Fan's eyes. Moreover, Li Fan just stretched out his hand and pressed it in front of his body. A huge amount of true qi instantly acted on the pair of gold and silver swords. The two swords immediately became obedient and directly hovered in front of Li Fan. With a shake of his palm, the swords tore the sleeves of the gold and silver swordsmen and stabbed into the wall behind them. The gold and silver swordsmen stood there in a daze, somewhat unable to believe their eyes. Go back and tell your miss that I'm going out to do something. At least 3 to 5 days, at most a month. If I don't come back, help me collect my corpse and burn some joss paper. Li Fan's trip this time was extremely dangerous, and he had already mentally prepared himself. After he dealt with the gold and silver swordsman, he went downstairs and opened the door. A row of throwing knives nailed in front of his feet. Yin Tian, dressed in a man's outfit, squatted on the electric pole in the courtyard, holding a throwing knife in her hand and staring at Li Fan like a tiger watching its prey. You just dealt with a pair of twins, and now you have a schizophrenic. Li Fan raised his head to look at Yin Tian and muttered. Bastard! Who's the schizophrenic? Anyway, it's not me. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Last time I asked you to track Song Fuya, did you get any results? Yin Tian was stumped for a moment. Last time when she chased after Song Fuya, that woman was extremely cunning. She borrowed a substitute and escaped, successfully getting rid of her pursuit. She blushed when she said it out loud, and a proud person like Yin Tian was naturally too embarrassed to tell Li Fan. You even claim to be a servant of the Murong family, but you can't even do such a small thing. Li Fan's mockery made Yin Tian unable to accept it. This is not a task that Miss gave me. If it is a task that Miss gave me, I will naturally do my best to complete it. Don't give me that. This was originally done to help your young Mississippi Song Fuya plotted against your miss, so she is her enemy. Catching her will naturally be the same as avenging your Mississippi. You see, this is all Miss's business, but you are not doing your best at all. Yin Tian was unable to refute Li Fan's words, and her face was flushed with anxiety. Okay, take your time to think, I'm leaving. Li Fan walked towards the courtyard, and Yin Tian threw out a row of flying daggers. Li Fan waved his hand, and the large number of flying daggers were all nailed to the tree next to him. Do you not need money for your flying daggers? Li Fan looked at the densely packed flying daggers nailed to the tree, and could not help but frown. Humph, these are just small amounts of money. I'll let you see my godly skill of flying daggers. Yin Tian grabbed a large number of flying daggers, as if she was going to play some tricks. But at this moment, a breeze blew past, brushing against Yin Tian's cheek. She could not help but sneeze. Almost in an instant, Yin Tian Tian let down her hair, jumped down from the pole, and stood beside Li Fan. Chapter 712. Li Fan Gij, where are you going? When Yin Tian Tian opened her mouth, her voice was so sweet that it could kill a person. Compared to her previous self, it was like heaven and earth. Li Fan was speechless. A sneeze can change a person's personality so much. This change between male and female, it should only be the personality. If other areas changed, it would be too fucked up. Thinking of this, Li Fan glanced at Yin Tiantian's skirt. This girl really knows how to choose clothes. She chose a panty skirt, preparing to use it when she transforms. You really don't have a problem here. Li Fan pointed to his head and asked Yin Tian Tian. There's a problem here. Yin Tian Tian looked at Li Fan with some puzzlement. Tian Tian doesn't understand what Li Fan Gij means. That is, you really don't know? I don't know. Yin Tian Tian looked at Li Fan very seriously. She suddenly understood something and clapped her hands. Li Fan Gij, have you seen my brother? Your brother? Yes, my brother. Yin Tian Tian was very serious. My brother is called Yin Xingqian. He's a bit serious and a little stubborn. My brother looks like me, and he's liked Miss since childhood, so he'll be fierce to the men around Miss. If he makes you angry, you must forgive him. His character is a bit stubborn, but he's a good person. Li Fan's forehead was full of black lines. This Yin Tian Tian. She can't be thinking of my other personality as a real person, right? Have you seen your brother? Yes, he was here just now, but I don't know where he went. Yin Tiantian's answer made Li Fan a bit crazy. This girl was really hopeless. Why are all the people around Muronging like this? Is this girl a Chinibyu? Let's not talk about this. Li Fan Gij, where are you going? I'll accompany you. Yin Tian Tian said, eldest miss asked me to keep an eye on you, so wherever big brother Li Fan goes, I'll go. The place I'm going to is very dangerous. It's okay, Tian Tian can protect herself. Yin Tian Tian pulled open her coat, revealing the rows of flying daggers inside. The Yin family's flying daggers are unrivaled in the world. They're very powerful. Li Fan said, the Yin family's flying dagger is so powerful, but I still defeated him. Then come with me. Although he had a little follower who could explode at any time, in order to make Muronging feel at ease, Li Fan still decided to bring Yin Tian Tian with him. Murong-Ying's whereabouts were unknown. Early in the morning, she and Tai Zhu both disappeared. Li Fan pushed open the door of the courtyard and saw Lu Xinnan sitting in the car. Obviously, she had been waiting anxiously. The bodyguard, Yu Feng, stood by the side and opened the door of the Bentley for Li Fan. Li Fan brought Yin Tian Tian into the car and sat opposite of Lu Xinnan. At this time, Lu Xinnan was wearing a comfortable sports attire. Her left leg was gently pressing against her right leg. She held a glass of champagne in her hand and looked at Li Fan with interest. You made me wait for so long just to bring a girl for me to see. Of course not. What are you thinking? Li Fan hurriedly introduced, this is Yin Tian Tian, from the Flying Dagger Yin family. She's my fiancé's henchman. Hello, sister. You're really pretty. The younger version of Yin Tiantian's mouth was as sweet as honey. Her first sentence made Lu Xinnan smile like a flower. It's okay, it's okay. Sister is also a beauty. As the saying goes, one doesn't hit a smiling person. When Yin Tian Tian showed off, Lu Xinnan also became polite. Let's go to Fifan Escort Agency first. I still have a few people to bring along. This mission is not suitable for too many people. Lu Xinnan reminded Li Fan. Don't worry. They're all elites. Li Fan gave Lu Xinnan a reassuring look. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring them along. That's good. Lu Xinan knew that Li Fan was not a person who did not know his limits. Since he had decided to bring along people, they should be suitable. The car drove all the way to Fifan Escort Agency. On the way, Li Fan enjoyed the champagne in Lu Xinan's car and taught Yin Tian Tian. Tian Tian, the flying daggers of the Yin family seemed to have some limitations. Ah! Yin Tian Tian was a little surprised. What limitations? The flying daggers of the Yin family are very skillful and admirable. Li Fan thought of the few times he had sparred with Yin Tian Tian and could not help but praise her. But killing in a martial arts competition is not just about skills. I was inspired by the fight with the gold and silver swords today. I think you should practice your flying daggers according to their style. Oh. Yin Tian Tian was a little puzzled. She did not know what Li Fan meant. It's very simple. Just 2 points. Fast and ruthless. Fast, accurate and ruthless. These are the basics. No, it's far from enough. Li Fan reminded Yin Tian Tian. One day, when your flying daggers are faster and fiercer than bullets, you, Yin Tian Tian, will be able to do whatever you want in Jianghu. But, how can a person's flying daggers be faster than bullets? Practice. Li Fan said, you have great potential. I believe you can do it. I'll try. Thank you, brother Li Fan. Although she did not know if what Li Fan said would work, Yin Tian Tian was still grateful. I think you're talking nonsense. Lu Xinan put down her goblet and rolled her eyes at Li Fan. No matter how powerful a person is, can a flying dagger be faster than bullets? You don't believe me? Li Fan reached out his hand and took out a flying dagger from Yin Tiantian's bosom. This flying dagger was only half a palm long. The word Yin was engraved on the blade. At the end of the dagger was a hollow ring with a black cherry tassel tied to it. Not to mention flying daggers, Li Fan even used his true qi as a bullet. Li Fan rolled down the window. There was a motorcycle gang outside the car. He took the bag from the woman next to him and rode away. Li Fan's hand shook. The true qi impacted the flying dagger. The flying dagger flew out and instantly burst the front tire of the motorcycle. The motorcycle flipped over, throwing the thief away and making him fall to the ground. Lu Xinan was dumbfounded. This. Inconceivable. This is the effect of true qi. Li Fan said, letting the true qi imitate the barrel of a gun and instantly shoot the flying dagger. Not to mention bullets, I can even let the true qi imitate the shell and create the effect of firing a cannon. Li Fan, you're simply godly. Lu Xinan looked at Li Fan as if she was looking at an alien. It's nothing. Li Fan said modestly, there's always someone better than me. There are many masters in the world who are more powerful than me. In order to catch up with them, I must become stronger. Li Fan faintly felt that sooner or later, he and that old dog, Murong Bo, would have a battle. Chapter 713. Murong Bo's birthday was approaching. Even Yin Tian Tian reminded Li Fan that it was best to rush back before Murong Bo's birthday. However, Li Fan actually had his own thoughts. It was best if he couldn't rush back. Great Ming's treasure. When Yin Tian Tian heard about Li Fan's goal, she couldn't help but be a little puzzled. Does this place really exist? Of course, I spent a lot of money to hire a large number of experts to help me crack it. Lu Xinan rolled her eyes. These idiots, it took so long to locate the final coordinates. I'm really sorry for the price I gave them. Where is the approximate location? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Here. Lu Xinan opened the computer in the car, opened the map, and then pointed on it. When Li Fan saw it, he was a little surprised because the location Lu Xinan drew was above the South China Sea. Damn, it's actually here. During the Ming Dynasty, shipping was developed. The dragon boats we built could already go to the Western Ocean, let alone the small South China Sea. Lu Xinan pointed to this place. The Great Ming's treasure is very likely buried here. This place should belong to the controversial area. Li Fan remembered that the Spratly Islands were here. Controversial? What's there to argue about? This place belongs to our ancestors. In the past, Li Fan knew that Lu Xinan was an out-and-out patriot. When I have money, I'll buy an island, train a group of troops, and kill all those Filipino mercenaries. What you said? Are you patriotic or treason? When Li Fan heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I do have this idea. Lu Xinan was still very serious. When the time comes, I'll buy a small island and make myself a king. Let me think, what should I make you? I'll reluctantly become an emperor. Get out of here. Lu Xinan was almost angered to death. You bastard, when the time comes, I'll make you a city enforcement officer. Sure, give me another 3,000 underlings then, and I guarantee that you'll have no worries in the South Sea. Li Fan laughed and said confidently, causing Lu Xinan to roll her eyes. Creating a kingdom on a small island, sounds like fun. Yin Tian was fascinated by the story. I want to go too. Alright, I'll work hard. After I buy the island, I'll make my sister a general or something. Okay. The two women chatted with each other, leaving Li Fan aside. Damn, the two of them are really in a good mood. Li Fan listened to their whimsical ideas. In the end, they even assigned the armies of the sea, land, and air. Just as Lu Xinan was about to confer the title of a national mage, the car had already arrived at the Phenomenal Escort Agency. Fifan Escort Agency already had a beautiful office building, and the receptionist girls were all beauties. It was very attractive. However, Li Fan did not go upstairs to flirt with the girls and enjoy the privileges of an overbearing president. The devil incarnate, Wang Tofu, and Pewdie were already waiting for him downstairs. The two sat in a Wrangler driven by Sun Qingchen, who was also participating in the mission. How about I sit in that car? Looking at the newly bought Wrangler, Li Fan was a little envious. Just sit there obediently. Lu Xinan rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Isn't my car good? It's not wild enough. If you want it wild, I'll send you a few Wranglers later. Don't. I'm just saying. Li Fan was still muttering, Lin Yuhsin is so generous, to actually approve them to buy such an extravagant car. A Wrangler cost $500,000, which was a lot of money for a company that was still developing and carrying a huge burden like the Special Abilities Bureau. The devil incarnate and the others had just finished adjusting their communicators. When they heard Li Fan's question, the devil incarnate laughed. That stingy brat Lin, how could she approve it? I snatched this car from a second-generation rich kid. Snatched? Li Fan frowned. Since when did Fifan Escort Agency become a bandit's nest? Boss, what are you thinking about? The devil incarnate hurriedly explained, wasn't it a few days ago? I was flirting with a girl at a nightclub and met a stupid second-generation rich kid. That guy said I snatched his girl and fought with me, but I beat him down in a few moves. Later, he was unhappy and made a bet with me, saying that if I could knock over his bodyguard, he would give me his car. If I can't, I'll leave a finger. His bodyguard? Is he powerful? He's powerful. Fuck, he looks like a special forces soldier. Then you can beat him. I can't, so I asked Pewdie to beat him. Fuck, you can do that. What's wrong with that? He didn't say that I can't ask for help. Anyway, I won, and he lost his car to me. Li Fan pondered for a moment, and exchanged a look with Lu Xinan. From Lu Xinan's eyes, he confirmed his thoughts, and then said to the devil incarnate. You only know how to fool around, but have you ever thought that if the other party is a second-generation rich kid, why does he only drive a Wrangler that costs $500,000? Boss, I know what you mean. The other party might have a powerful background. Although the devil incarnate was a gangster, he was not a simple-minded person. Only the second-generation rich kids of officials, because they can't touch luxury cars, would like to drive less popular cars. It's not that I haven't thought about this, so I've been very low-key these 2 days. Other than going out with Lei and Pewdie to expiate the female benefactors, I've done nothing else. Okay, be careful. Li Fan was afraid that these people would cause trouble, especially Huang Lei and the devil incarnate. Between the two of them, one had no resistance to women, and the other was a troublemaker. When the two of them were together, they could definitely poke a hole in the sky. Right, boss, these few days, a new private bank opened opposite our company. I observed that they send cars out twice a day. I guess there's a small vault under it, responsible for sending money to other branches. This guy smiled. Boss, we haven't done illegal work for a long time. Why don't we do it? The company's capital chain had indeed been tight. The devil incarnate's suggestion really moved Li Fan. But only for a while. Don't mess around, robbing a bank is a big case. Do you want to die? Big brother, foreign banks are also full of dirty money. The devil incarnate said, ordinary people, who would have money to save there. Let's talk about it later. Li Fan waved his hand. Although he had done a lot of illegal work in the past, he had, after all, cleaned up his identity. He did not want to touch these things anymore. Alright, I hope I can get some gold this time. Knowing that this time they were going to dig for treasures, the devil incarnate was more or less interested. Calm down, don't cause trouble for the boss. Sun Qingqian usually did not like to talk. Hearing the devil incarnate nagging, he could not help but scold him. The devil incarnate seemed to be a little afraid of this short driver. He scratched his head and retorted, why are you scolding me, if not, who else? Look at Pewdie, so quiet. Pewdie was currently holding a book and was engrossed in it. A master is a master, learning Dharma when he has nothing to do. You should learn from him. Fuck. He's reading Young Married Woman. Chapter 714. Sun Qingqian did not speak, but Subhuti raised his head and said seriously. Amitba, this little monk is studying the mortal world. The female benefactor in the book is too evil. It is a pity that this poor monk has no fate to meet her, otherwise I will do my best to enlighten her. You better fuck yourself. The demon king was speechless. You perverted monk, you have the cheek to say such words. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Amitba, the heart of Buddha is myriad. What this poor monk sees in these female benefactors is dharma and hope. What you see is skin and flesh, a transaction, which should not be done. Why don't you learn more dharma from this poor monk and cleanse your filthy heart? Get the hell out of here. The demon king nearly laughed in anger. Li Fan heard their conversation through the communicator and was silent for a while before saying. I know a pretty girl, also called Bai Jie. Amitba. Can this poor monk have the fortune to get to know her and is willing to discuss Dharma with her? That won't do, this Bai Jie is not that Bai Jie. Li Fan expressed his helplessness, that Bai Jie that you want to discuss Dharma with is just a fictional character in the book, don't take it too seriously. Sigh, you guys don't understand this poor monk's pursuit. If I don't enter hell, who will? Enter your sister, you are more spirited than anyone else when talking about these. The demon king reprimanded Subhuti, haven't I brought you to many places in the past? You bastard, you still believe in Buddha. That's too evil. The demon king seemed to have mentioned something sad, causing Li Fan to be interested and asked, what happened? Come, tell me. It's not poisonous. Boss, you don't know. Last time, Lei found a new place and brought the two of us to play. You also know Lei's taste, he chose a 180 kilograms girl to resist the pressure, leaving the two of us. After choosing for a long time, we finally chose a young girl who just debuted in the 90s. She is really tender. I heard that she just came to work for a day, she is really a tender virgin. And then, I decided to go with my style and let that bastard sub-hoodie go first. I went in for 2 hours, and when I came out, I asked for the girl's time, but she told me that she wanted to turn over a new leaf and quit this line of work. Ha, why? It's all because of that bastard Pewdie. After he had his fill, he felt that the girl was still too young. After persuading her for an hour, he convinced her to turn over a new leaf. Bah. This penniless monk is also doing good. It's not worth mentioning. It's not worth mentioning. Good my ass. You're happy doing it yourself, but you don't let others do it. You perverted monk, you're too wicked. That girl is too young. Doing those things with her is a sin. This penniless monk is also thinking for your sake. Then what did you do? If I don't go to hell, who will? Get lost. Li Fan almost died of laughter when he heard that. They were indeed a few clowns. Most importantly, after I came out, Lei sympathized with me very much and even wanted to introduce his girl to me. Damn it, who can stand that taste of his? That waist is as thick as a water tank. Oh my god. The devil's incarnation grumbled all sorts of complaints. He kept muttering that he had met the wrong person. However, Li Fan kept laughing. The three of them were really the same, the three perverted brothers. In this fiefin escort agency, only the three of them had the best taste. Occasionally, they would bring a few of their subordinates to have some fun and liberate themselves. As for the others, Guan Wenbao was strict with himself and would definitely not join in. As for Yan Kai, he had never shown any interest in women. Ling Tian also did not seem to have much interest in prostitution. He felt that it was not safe. The others were all women, so they were even less interested in such things. Therefore, when the three of them got together, the story was really exciting. Speaking of which, boss, are we going to beat up the Filipino maids this time? The devil's incarnation suddenly asked the main topic. It said that Miss Lu has strong connections. This time, I brought my 38 stances as well. It's all thanks to Miss Lu's help. Don't worry, I'll take care of the weapons. Lu Xinan said, we're taking a private route. No one will check. She introduced the route, we'll go all the way to the port in Liaoning, and then take a boat straight to Nansha. Ayaya, Miss Lu is indeed resourceful. It's alright, but we're not going to beat up the Filipino maids. We're going to hunt for treasures. Lu Xinan said, but if we encounter some ignorant Filipino maids, we have to let them see how we Chinese treat our guests. That's a must. The devil's incarnation agreed immediately. The destination we're going to this time is a relatively large island city called Zhenghe Island. Legend has it that Zhenghe once secretly went to this island and established himself as a king, establishing a country. Whether history is true or not, there's no way to verify it. But this island still remains, and there's a relatively chaotic small kingdom on it. A chaotic small kingdom? Yes, there are two regimes fighting against each other. I heard that it's quite chaotic. Lu Xinan nodded, but it shouldn't be that exaggerated. I just heard it from hearsay. It's all Chinese territory. Don't we have troops stationed there? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. In the South China Sea, there are as many small islands as there are hairs on an ox. How can we manage all of them? Lu Xinan smiled. If there was a People's Liberation Army stationed there, these small regimes wouldn't have the chance to act presumptuously. Well, I think it's just a small fight. Li Fan didn't take it too seriously. This thought persisted until they landed on the island. Yin Tian was very quiet along the way, as if she was still studying the new skills that Li Fan had taught her. The car drove all the way to Liaoning and arrived at a dock. The two cars were brought to a cruise ship by a crane. Li Fan and the others sat on this cruise ship and arrived at the island called Zhenghe Island in the South China Sea. The person in charge of receiving them was a local Chinese man named Li Jiwen. He wasn't tall, and his skin was a little tanned. He was a very enthusiastic young man. Director Lu, You've been waiting for a long time. Please, please. The devil's incarnation and the others were standing on the dock, smoking when Li Jiwen came up to them with a smile on his face. Let's go to the hotel. Lu Xinan and Li Jiwen should also have an employer-employee relationship. Her attitude towards him was very strong. Okay, Director Lu. Let's go. Li Jiwen took the initiative to replace Yu Feng and sat in the driver's seat. Recently, Zhenghe Island has been very sunny. It's a good place to travel. Director Lu, you really came at the right time. Oh. Didn't you say that the situation here has been turbulent recently? Lu Xinan sat in the back and raised her eyebrows. It's just a small fight. It's not worth mentioning. Li Jiwen waved his hand. At this time, a pickup truck suddenly rushed into the dock. There was a Gatling gun on it. A black man stood on it with a red scarf tied around his head. He was chasing and firing at a motorcycle. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.